You're gonna love my nuts.
All right, it's
You're
up.
gonna love my nuts.
It's up. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is been 2 years of the Highball stream. As you can see from the background, we gotta move. We had moved. And thank you. You are welcome, Poncho. Any time. Yeah. Move was exhausting. I am sore all over. I got bruises and cuts and scrapes everywhere, but the space is entirely my own, which is super exciting. Very happy. Yeah, I got brick behind me. I got a new bookshelf, which is identical to the previous bookshelf behind me because it was too much of a hassle to move the one out of the old place to this one. So that's fine. You can see the picture of me as a Sailor Scout that a friend of mine made many years ago that was hiding off screen in the last location. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So for today, there is an additional point redeem where you can suggest a tier list or a Sporkle quiz for me to do while we're in the middle of doing all this stuff. So feel free to do that. We don't really have any time limit on today. We're just going to go until we are done with whatever games we got to talk about. This list encompasses every game that we played from last year's tier list until now. It automatically sorted them alphabetically, but I'm gonna go. I have the Bibble pulled up, so we're gonna go through the order that we actually played them, so that we can do the oldest stuff, the most recently played stuff at the end, you know. So that's pretty cool. If there are any suggestions on music, I am also all ears. Right now I'm just playing Video Game Bangers Part 3 on Mega Mix. So, you know, keep that in mind. Alright. I guess with introductions out of the way. When we were doing this last year, we were like in the middle of playing Persona 5. So I think we talked about it kind of during last year's stream, but we didn't actually include it because we hadn't finished it yet. Which, you know, is a bit ironic because we have Animal Well right there. Purse Owner? Yeah, that's the one. Before we start talking about any games though, I will like break down the tiers that we have here. So all-timers are games that I think are practically perfect experiences. To me, at least. Like, I know many people have different definitions on, like, what's a 10 out of 10 game? Nothing's perfect, really. It's like, it's, you know, based on the amount of enjoyment that I have. So, like, for example, last year we had things like Outer Wilds and Hollow Knight and Obra Dinn up in this tier. Games we're talking about will be held in this tier. The Call of Duty's, sure. So if there's a game that you haven't played and you want to stay pure to it, you can mute the stream until it is no longer within the spoiler tier. This is an idea directly stolen from Brungo, and I will not be crediting him. Also, hello, Nick Jackie. Then we have the Yakuza tier, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. This was invoked last year because Yakuza is better than a revisit, but I can't in good conscience put it in all-timers. They're their own unique blend of things. But you can probably assume what game will end up in the Yakuza tier. Will Revisit is for games that I could see myself playing again. Even if, like, I've gotten most of the experience out of it, maybe I just enjoyed it enough that I would play it another time. Worth playing are games that I got enough enjoyment out of, but I don't ever see myself going back and playing a second time. The ghouls and goblins of the world, We're gonna go in order that we played them, Nick. But spoilers. Then we have Meh, which is reserved for, like, the 5 out of 10s of the world. Games that, like, left no discernible impression on me, didn't do anything, like, super noteworthy, but weren't bad. They just are games that kind of existed. There aren't going to be a ton of games that fall in there, I don't think. But it's there for the games that aren't bad, but nothing great. And, like... For example, I believe I put, like, Subnautica and Dead Space in the Meh tier last year. We'll revisit, I believe last year I put things like Cuphead. Worth playing, I believe... Oh, God. Worth playing... What did I put in worth playing? I should have looked it up. It's fine. Dogwater is for the games that I hated. The games that I had a bad time, usually games that I drop end up inside of there, or ones that, like, caused me physical pain. Don't think too highly of yourself. So, for example, last year, Dogwater had the Frog Fractions and I believe the Ratchet and Clank game. Unfortunately, games that Nick suggested. But it's fine. I don't believe any games that Nick's... I don't know if Nick won any raffles this year, so his games can't end up in Dogwater this time around, which is great. You can imagine at least 2 games Dogwater? Who's to say? Alright, so now that we have, like, the tiers established, the first game that I have listed in the Bibble for this last year was Behind the Frame, which is Cat Quest. Cat Quest is good. Cat Quest was last year, I'm pretty sure. So Behind the Frame is a puzzle game where you are clicking... Wow, time flies. Yeah, seriously, right? So Behind the Frame is a puzzle game where you are going around a apartment collecting, like, pieces of pictures or colors to be added to pictures in order to progress the story. It was a short, like, 2 to 3 hour long experience. It had a cute little story about the woman that you were playing at looking out the window trying to, like, see what was going on with the guy across the street, but it turns out that the guy was actually... Yo, thanks for the sub. You are an MVP. Turns out that the guy was actually the painter of the portrait that your character is in. And he passed away. It's revealed that, like, the painter had, like, had feelings for you, but was never able to express them to you. And then you went to college, and then ended up passing away and becoming popular. It's in the spoilers tag, Nick. I'm going to be spoiling the games that I am talking about today. If you get spoiled, that's on you. I enjoyed this game quite a bit, but I wouldn't say it... I feel like I got everything that I needed out of it in a single playthrough. It was a short, sweet little game with great art style, and which, you know, is important for a game that is kind of based around art. I would put it in worth playing. I had a good time with it. It was part of a bundle of puzzle games. I believe it's probably super cheap. In fact, one thing that I think I am going to do is look up the games on Steam as I am talking about them, so I can give you an idea of how much they cost, if that's something that you would be interested in. So, Behind the Frame is $17 currently on Steam. I got it for significantly cheaper than that. I don't know if I would pay the full $17 for it, but I assume it probably goes on sale very often, and if you can pick it up for cheap, then it is worth doing so. Great. Painless. We got through the first game. So now we talk about Persona 5 Golden, which was... I could have sworn we were in the middle of playing this game when we did last year's Redeem, so I don't know how behind the frame got on the first. Maybe it was like... all... I mean, yeah. In my opinion, I think Persona 5 is the best JRPG ever made. It's just... it oozes with style. It's got fun combat that's super snappy and quick. Like, the random battles aren't random because you can interact with the enemies on screen in order to battle them. And the game is only like half dungeon crawler and then half like life sim. The characters are fun and memorable. Cannot get over getting together. Well, they weren't cool with it. It's just that Sojiro is such a fucking bro that he was able to somehow convince like 12 women that it was all a misunderstanding. Which is like, sure. Now, in the narrative of the game, you're playing as a character who is a high schooler and he can end up with adults. Whatever. It's whatever. I know people have weird different stances on it. For me, it's like, who cares? This is a fiction game, and I'm a grown-ass adult. And I think that the romance endings are the better endings for the girl storylines. 95% of the time. You just don't want to end up with, like, the drunk alcoholic one that probably smells bad. You chose the best girl? Well, yeah, obviously. Like, it goes without saying that Takemi is the best girl, because she's a goth doctor that wears, like, spider fishnet leggings, and it's just like, yeah, she's the best girl. It's not up for debate. I will... Even though this game is, like, 120 hours long, and I'm not going to replay it anytime soon, I know that my playthrough that I did on this stream will not be the last time that I play this game. Like I said, I think it's honestly the best JRPG ever made. At least as of now. And because it manages to streamline a lot of the BS that kind of bogs down a lot of the rest of the genre. Cool? Cool. Let's move on. Streamline. Well, like, the combat system, Nick, is what I'm talking about. Like, the game itself is gigantic, but, like, the pacing of it is still, like, pretty snappy. Things are always happening. You know? Alright. When we gonna Metaphor Fantasio. Oh, that's the new game by them, right? I've heard a lot of good things about Metaphor. It's basically Persona minus the life sim stuff. And granted, I like the life sim stuff, but I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. But apparently, like, Metamorph or Metaphor just, like, cuts out a lot of the fat. It's just like, we're just going. No 4-hour tutorial. Game just starts, which is cool. So when we finished Persona 5, the next game that came up after that, Untitled Goose Game. Honks in chat, please. People were bugging me to play this one for a while, and rightfully so. This was a delightful little experience. Just, you play as a little goose, you go around a small British alcove town, and you perform puzzles that come at the expense of the residents of that town, and it tells a very light-hearted, witty game, or witty narrative without, like, any dialogue actually being talked, and you're just like a fucking menace, and it's great. All knows my buddy who loves Persona games has been gushing about that one. I know that, Mezanon also really has been enjoying Metaphor. So, probably at some point, though I bet if I were to look up the game on Steam, speaking of which, Persona 5, for those of you that don't know, Persona 5 is probably, I'm gonna guess, like $90 or $80 still. Persona 5 Royal is an $80 game. Granted, you get 120 hours of gameplay out of it, so I would say that's worth it. At least in my opinion. I assume Metaphor is probably also an $80 game. It is $95. Gee. AAA games, man. Yeah. This was made by the same developers who ended up making Thank Goodness You're Here, which is also, you can tell, it has a lot of the same kind of, like, vibes. Though, Thank Goodness You're Here is a lot more bizarre. So yeah. Untitled Goose Game, if you do not own it, is $26 on Steam right now. And even though this game is only like maybe 3 to 4 hours of gameplay, absolutely worth it. I like this studio a lot, and that goes a long way into convincing me to spend a bit more money on them. Will I play it again? That's the thing. I don't know if I would play it again. Actually, no, I absolutely would. If I had, like, someone that I wanted to show the game to. Same devs, I thought they made Good Time Garden before Budgier. I don't know. Let me look that up. I haven't heard of Good Time Garden. It definitely looks like the same devs, though. It's got the same, like, hand-drawn style, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. I could see myself playing Untitled Goose Game a second time, just as, like, hey, friend of mine, do you want to have a fun little experience together, and then we would just play it together. I could absolutely see myself doing that with, like, Untitled Goose Game. It's the type of thing that I would want to show to someone who hadn't experienced it before, which is cool. And like I said, $26. I think that's well worthwhile. All right. The next game that we played was Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. So, Bloodstained is, I was surprised to learn, was made by the same person who made Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Now, I say that's surprising, not for, like, a couple reasons. Because Castlevania was very good, but also it was a game of its time. It was old, and one of the proprietors of the Metroidvania kind of style of gameplay. So I was able to be pretty lenient in some of, like, the jankier type of stuff. However, you admittedly said it grew on you as you kept playing. Which game are we talking about? So when I started playing Bloodstained, I was kind of into it. No. I think you're thinking it's the opposite of what you're saying there, WD. Whereas I started with it, and I was like, okay, this is like pretty basic Metroidvania, though it was like strangely horny. Like, the game was very much just like, look how hot our main character is. Look at her sit down and cross her legs seductively everywhere. And there were, like, a couple of things that were cool about it, like killing enemies unlocked abilities that you could then utilize in combat. And I was, like, pretty middling on it for about the first half of the game. Then there was an exact moment where the game went from, like, a 5 to, like a fucking 2. And that was when I had, like, exhausted all possible routes of exploration, which is something that I've done, like, I'm used to. I've played a lot of Metroidvanias. Going around and trying to find what to do next is just part of the experience. But I had, like, walked around the map for, like, 4 hours. And I kept just going to the same place being like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And it was specifically like, oh, you need to kill one of the enemies to get an ability that is required in order to navigate through the map. And this is the only time in the game that that is the case. Every other time that there was like a required movement upgrade, it came from a boss. So the thought to smack random jellyfish enemies in one area in order to be able to navigate underwater literally never crossed my fucking mind. And it was not until Zavis told me that that was what you were supposed to do that I was able to do it. And that immediately put me in a foul mood. And it did not help that the subsequent areas immediately after there took away what the game had established as the like game flow, which is you enter a new area, there's a save point, you explore it for a bit, another save point, you explore it a bit more, you find the last save point, and then you fight the boss. They were said, hey, what if we cut out that middle save point, and every time you fucking died, which is gonna be a lot because the game controls like dog water, is that you will then respawn at the beginning of the area, and you have to make it all the way fucking through it again. And I don't know why they decided to implement that for the last like 2 areas, but it made navigating through them so fucking bad, and the combat just did not improve. And then the final boss, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. It was like an Ouroboros that worked in like weird 2.5D graphics, but the game is in 2 dimensions, and you couldn't tell where anything's hitbox was, and then the writing was so fucking bad. There was like one guy who was supposed to be like, hey, I'm a cool fucking samurai, look at me. And you're like, no, you fucking suck. You're not impressive. You're the guy who owns like a mall katana that's hanging up above his fucking dresser, and you're like, wanna see my samurai steel? And you're like, no, touch grass. Fuck this game. I hate this game so goddamn much. Oh, this game fucking sucked so much. It made me so mad. If for some reason you want to experience this game as well, it is available on Steam for $13. That is too much money to be spending on this game. The only reason that I owned it is because it was part of a bundle deal with objectively like 5 really good Metroidvanias and then this. This game sucks so fucking bad, man. Never again. Never again will I touch that game. I am mad. Also, I noticed my chat is a little low and getting cut off on my head, so let me adjust that real quick. Okay. If you were wondering, this game would be at the bottom of last year's Dog Water as well. I don't know why I finished this game. Aren't you glad Miriam showed up in some other game as a crossover to make you aware you didn't know her? It was in Blasphemous, which was just like, how did Blasphemous do that crossover? I guarantee it's like because the developer has like a name in the community. Because like if it was based on the merit of the game itself, like, you know how there's like shooting up in like relationships? You're like, oh man, you have like the settlers and like the reachers. Fucking Bloodstained is the reacher to Blasphemous' settler in that crossover. Yeah, hated this game. As a palate cleanser after Bloodstained, I played Gora Goa, which is a puzzle game. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. So Gora Goa was a short, like 2-hour-long puzzle game experience. Most of the puzzle games I played are along this line because they were all part of like the same puzzle game bundle. But the objective of this one was like layering like different perspectives on top of each other in order to navigate through different scenes. So like you could there was like a lens that you could look through something, and if you like moved where that lens was, it would let you enter into a different scene, and it all had like very abstract art styles, and it was telling the story of like this young kid collecting fruit during like a war ravaged city. It was very artsy. It was a art piece. And I don't have much more to say about that. Is this going to be on the quiz? Not really. I'm just talking about it. Sometimes I just want to talk about it, you know? It basically is equal almost exactly in my mind to this game. God, what was it called again? Behind the Frame. It was definitely worth playing. It was well made. It was short, sweet, simple, to the point. You can find Goro Goa on Steam for $20 currently, which I think is probably too expensive. But if you can get it on sale, then I would say go for it. I was gonna ask if Bloodstained is the worst Metroidvania I've played, but is it just the worst game you've played? No. There's another game we're gonna get to later that I think by far is the worst game that I have played on stream. So, yeah. Anyway. After Gorogoa, we played the Crosscode DLC. Crosscode: A New Home. This is the DLC for Crosscode that takes place after the end of the game, so if you have not completed Crosscode, what are you doing? Go play that game. So DLC for this basically picks up where the game ended, the initial game ended, where Leah is like, you uncover more information about the creator of the game. You learn that fucking purple-haired guy was secretly the avatar for the creator of the game and had been like secretly pulling the strings the entire time in order to get you to do stuff. It has like 2 or 3 new bosses that are insane and so good. It's just more peak writing, fun combat, interesting exploration, a new dungeon that builds upon all the mechanics from the base game in an interesting and cool way. When I was like putting this tier list together and I was like grabbing all the pictures for the games, when I got to Crosscode, I just immediately felt nostalgia. And it's only been like a year since I played this game, and I can't begin to describe how much I love Crosscode. And I do not think enough people have played Crosscode. Oh my god. Besides for the bit, I think Frog Fractions is worse than Rain World. We'll get to Rain World, don't worry. I can't really say much more besides just play Crosscode, man. Oh my god. I love this game so goddamn much. I know for sure that I'm going to play Crosscode again in the future, and when the developer's next game comes out, I will be there like day one to buy it and play it, because it's such a complete package of a game. Just memorable characters, fun combat, interesting side missions, everything you could want out of it. You didn't care about the main story, but the actual game was super fun. The story itself it's interesting. I think it's just that the characters themselves are so likable, especially Leah. Like, the fact that they are able to convey so much personality with Leah, despite her only being able to speak like 10 words of dialogue, will never not be impressive to me. Like, I know exactly the type of person and character that Leah is, despite her being so limited in the scope in which she can communicate, because the sprite work on like her portrait animations is so detailed and expressive. Even just her overworld sprite has so much going on. You don't think the second half of the game made you like Leah anymore? I think the DLC did a good job of like really making you empathize more with Leah's plight of like being her own person, you know? Yeah, Crosscode is peak. I think I would put it in like my top 5 indie games of all time, which is saying a lot. Because there's a lot of good fucking indie games out there. You should play the DLC. Please play the DLC. It's so good. It has the best dungeon, which is saying a lot because like Crosscode has some of the best puzzles just flat out period in any game that I've played. It's so good. If you do not have Crosscode or its DLC, you can pick up both for $30. The base game's only $20 and the DLC is $10. And like, I want to buy this game a second time just to give the developers more money because like they absolutely deserve it. Please play Crosscode if you have not. Great. After Crosscode we did a stream of Lethal Company, which that came out, I think, end of last year? The soundtrack alone is worth the cost, for sure. The base game is so cheap for how much you get out of it. I agree. I think I got like 60-ish hours of gameplay out of Crosscode. I'm just gonna look that up to make sure I'm not capping. Yeah, 65 hours of gameplay out of Crosscode, which is so much. It's so much. Hell yeah. Dude, hell yeah. Yeah, we played Lethal Company for a stream. Lethal Company is such a fun party game. I'm not like huge into co-op type stuff, but just like the tongue-in-cheek anti-capitalism stuff is fun. The perspective is actually the only glaring issue. Agreed. That's the only thing that's really holding back Crosscode, is trying to figure out some areas that you need to jump up. But, like, that's fine. Lethal Company's just fun, man. The fact that it was made by, like, a small team, and now they're just, like, super fucking loaded because they made, like, endless money off of this. Like, I will boot up Lethal Company any day well before something like Among Us. Because I like the cooperative team versus everything aspect a lot more than, like, PvP type stuff. It's just fun. It's simple, it's easy to pick up. There's a big modding community for it. People still play it. Lethal Company is just very good. I will definitely play Lethal Company again if someone ever comes up to me and it's just like, want to play Lethal Company? It's like, I got time, sure, why not? So yeah, Lethal Company, good. I feel like I can't say much about it because like the game is so simple. It's just you run around, collect stuff. I'm happy anytime in any game isn't a copy of a AAA game. Yeah, this game is very much like its own thing. I can't think of like another game that's trying to do the same thing as Lethal Company. I mean, it's like, you're here. Hello, Brungo. It's just fun. It's been copied since then, but not prior to Lethal Company. Well, yeah, obviously, like, any game that does super well is gonna get people copying it, right? Hello, Brungo. Welcome to stream. We're still fairly early on. The audio in this new room is sick. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, it's a lot roomier this time. Lethal Company is excellent. It's a really good game. It's just a really good game. I wouldn't call it an all-timer, but it's very good. Yo, what's up, Rouge? Welcome, welcome. Do we have Sneaky Seek? No. He is back at the last place. Did you get better internets? I did buy my own internet, yeah. Along with a new place. Yeah, like, I have my own internet now, which I got, like, a higher bandwidth on. So better internet, better sound quality. Everything's coming together. You miss him. You'll eat your Chipotle now? Mm-hmm. How long has it been since you lived alone? This is my first time as a grown-ass adult that I've gotten to live in a place by myself. Which is fucking great. Like, I've lived with roommates my entire fucking adult life. Which, like, don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of really good roommates. But it was definitely time. To finally get a place on my own. I felt so productive yesterday. I went grocery shopping first thing in the morning. I meal prepped. I bought knickknacks to beat the allegations to steal Brungo's joke. Steal the allegations of you really live like this. But I realized something while I was knickknack shopping that I fucking don't know. I don't see the purpose in them a lot of the time. I need people to point them out and be like, that would look good. I'm like, what? Okay. Because in my mind, I'm like, what's the purpose of this? What purpose does this serve? And usually if it doesn't, then I don't bother with it. But I got like a globe and a couple of matching vases. And I got like this fucking weird, like, gold filigree thing that just kind of sits in the middle of my coffee table just to be a centerpiece. And I'm like, that looks kind of cool. So that's there now. It holds my TV remote. That's its purpose, I guess. Anyway, we played Lethal Company. Lethal Company's good. I don't need to tell you guys that. I will tell you how much it is available for on Steam right now, though, in case you have not played Lethal Company. It is only $13, and you will get plenty of gameplay out of that, especially if you have like a reliable group of people to play with. So, hell yeah, brother. Get to develop your own home style. It's true. It's like a weird mix of, I'm an adult, but I still have like all my fucking hang-ups from, like, you know, being a nerd. Which I have no problem with. Alright, so after Lethal Company, I played Yakuza Kiwami. This is the remaster of Yakuza 1. So I'm going to say this like right out of the gate. Yakuza 1 is not as good as Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 was, like, an excellent experience. This one, granted, Yakuza 0 had the benefit of being a game that was made later in time compared to the first Yakuza. So it had that benefit. It's not a hot take. I don't think it's a hot take. Also, mods on Lethal Company pretty crazy. They do! They really do. Maybe P5, yeah. 10 years, damn. Yakuza is such a fucking fever dream of a franchise, and I am here for it. Just, Majima is my babe. I love him. I would marry him if he wouldn't kill me with a metal pipe. It's fine. I want someone to look at me the same way that Majima looks at Kiryu. The story of this game is complete nonsense, which is to be expected. In this one, all the characters that were showed up in Yakuza 0 basically die in this game, which is cool. Majima is Kiryu sexual? Exactly. Your brother is a piece of shit in this game. Like, he was so cool in Yakuza 0, and he was just, like, absolutely the worst in this game. He's just like, alright, I want to be in charge of the Mafia now. Oh no, Kiryu went to jail because of my actions, and then I rose up in the Mafia, and now I think Kiryu's a piece of shit. It's like, but he literally took the fall for you, and it was in jail for like 10 years. Why are you being an asshole? I don't understand. But then you like have a sick fist fight with him on top of a building, and then there's like, there's a cute kid. This is the only time where there's been a kid in a game where I'm like, I have to actually protect this child because I care about this child. You see, by Kiryu, you could... Yeah. I was surprised to learn that it has been this long since I played Yakuza. He didn't care in Sekiro? No. Who gives a shit about the kid in Sekiro? Anyway, Yakuza goes in the Yakuza tier. I feel like that's not a surprise. I need to get around to playing the second one. I'm shocked that I only played one Yakuza game last year. We need to up those numbers. So, you can probably expect Yakuza Kiwami 2 sometime soon-ish. Hell yeah. I got the first 6 plus 0 on a Epic deal, or Epic Games Store deal. So it was like, for like 60 bucks. It was a steal. I'm not sure if they're even on Steam? They are. It's $16. What the hell? Yakuza 0 is also $16? What the hell? Buy them. Play them, buy them. Can we please 100% the porn in the next game? No, I don't want to. I don't want to participate in the weird porn stuff that's played so tongue-in-cheek because it's not for me, Nick. Like, this one had the weird, like, Pokemon thing, but it was instead girls dressed up in skimpy outfits beating the shit out of each other as they were dressed like bugs. And then you, as Kiryu, the 30-year-old man, was playing Pokemon against children who were like, hell yeah! My sexy ladybug lady kicked your ass! And I'm like, okay. But it'll do it in Persona, that's great. That's because Persona doesn't have, like, tits hanging out, dude. There's a difference. You should be able to tell that there's a difference. Anyway, Yakuza great. Want to play another Yakuza soon. After Yakuza was... You're gonna love my nuts. It was... Shin Megami Tensei 4. It's worse, it doesn't have tens hanging out. So Shin Megami Tensei 4 is made by the same people who make the Persona series, which I love. What snacks? Yes, snacks. What snacks? I am stopping for you. I am stopping for you. Please proceed. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep I'm gonna talk. What the fuck is Will Revisit? Will Revisit means like I'll probably play it again. Like, not on stream, but Will Revisit means like I can see myself playing the game again at some point. Is basically what that tier means. Anyway, Shin Megami Tensei 4. It sounded below worth playing to me, so I had to confirm. No. So, like, I explained this in the game stream, but... Okay. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. So Shin Megami Tensei 4 is basically Pokemon if you made it just worse in every fucking way. God, it sucks. So... I did not get far into this game. Like, apparently, according to the people who know this game. But, like... Oh, the difficulty curve of this game is a fucking joke. The first, like, 5 hours of this game is supposed to be a tutorial. That is impossible. I got to the first boss, and it was just random fucking RNG, hoping that the boss didn't kill me. And it was just running back to it over and over and over and hoping and running back to it and over. And, oh my god, fuck it. And then, like, eventually I got to the reveal, which was that, surprise, it's actually taking place in a dystopian Tokyo future. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. But now the game's like a weird top-down walk around to go from place to place, but the game doesn't tell you where the fuck to go ever, and you keep running into random encounters, and people were like, oh, you're struggling too much on the fights. Lower it to a lower difficulty. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm hating this. Then I switched to a lower difficulty, and now it's baby piss water easy to the point that you can just like auto battle. You can just auto battle every single battle and not play the game anymore. And I'm like, what is this difficulty? It's either you die to random bullshit or the game plays itself. There's no middle ground there. And the story was non-existent. Because it was like, oh, you need to talk to this one random NPC in this one part of the map, and then they'll give you a hint onto this one other place that you need to go to. I'm like, I had no indication to go talk to this one NPC that looks identical to every other fucking NPC. And then I had wasted 20 fucking hours of my time, and then people are like, why are you so mad? The game was only supposed to, it took you 20 hours to do something that would only take, like, the average person 7 hours to do. I'm like, the game didn't tell me shit! Ah! And then it's like Pokemon, but if the Pokeball that you throw on it, you have to, like, whisper a specific sentence to in order to make the Pokemon decide, oh, maybe I will go inside this Pokeball today. And it's completely random. It's like, oh, this Pikachu is a bit flirtatious. So what are you gonna do? It's like, I'll try flirting with it. It hated that. How did you think that that's what it was supposed to do? You were supposed to talk about its love of ham sandwiches, you fucking Nimrod. And I'm like, that's the entire fucking battle experience of this game. But it gets good. It gets so good. This game's great. Fuck this game. I hate this game. I dropped it. I will literally never come back to it. And I had to get an emulator. So you're saying you should play it. You don't like good JRPGs. Don't play this. Streamer doesn't even know how to flirt with ham sandwiches. Yep, that's my problem apparently. God. Just thinking about this game gets my blood boiling. Ha. Never seen streamers so hateful. Yeah, it's I'm not sure he even likes games. It's lower on the tier list than Bloodstained. I think this legitimately is my least favorite game that I have played on stream. I despise this game. The fucking dichotomy. They're made by the same fucking studio, and they Oh, new follow thing had to cut off. Sorry. The two games that you predicted in April. I feel like that wasn't hard if you watch the stream on any regular basis. Okay. If, for some, is it even on Steam? No. It only has Shin Megami 3 and Shin Megami 5. It doesn't have Shin Megami 4. That's fine. Don't play it. Just don't play this fucking game. Save yourself a headache. Don't play it. It wasn't even fun to watch. Exactly. It was just mind-numbing. I hated it. Who redeemed Shin Megami? I believe it was someone who's not on the stream anymore because of, like, weird things that happened. Shiko or something like that, I believe. Because they were watching me the entire time I was playing Persona 5 and racked up a ton of channel points. And every time they hit 10k, they redeemed it for Shin Megami Tensei 4. And, like, I felt so bad. because they had put so much time and they really loved it. No, it wasn't King. King found the stream because of Shin Megami Tensei 4, and despite all of my slander of it, they stuck around. So, you know, shout out to King. Anyway, after Shin Megami Tensei 4 was Lone Fungus. For those of you who do not never feel bad about telling your fans, well, they were just looking forward to it so much, and like I gave Shin Megami Tensei so much fucking leeway. I think I did like 5 streams of that fucking game, and I was just like, you say it gets real good, I can't. There's only so many times that I can like hate myself at the end of the stream before I'm like, I can't play this anymore. So Lone Fungus is the love child of Hollow Knight and Celeste. It's basically a Metroidvania that has like a bunch of difficult platform challenges inside of it, and that is profoundly my shit. Oh my god. It's so fucking good. I loved this game. It had a cute art style. The movement systems in it were surprisingly deep and complex. It felt so good to overcome the platforming challenges, even if I was like bashing my head against them for hours. I adored this game. This is like, it's such a shame to me that not more people have played it, because it's such a good Metroidvania. Big fan of this one. It's just, it doesn't do anything like super spectacular to stand out of the crowd of Metroidvanias, but it's just such a well-knit package of a game that like nothing felt wasted. Like rebounding off walls felt great. The fact that like the top of your head was like this shield because you're a fungus, and every like movement upgrade you get had multiple purposes to it, between like being useful for combat and being useful for traversal. Ah, man. You should have had the Symphony of the Night done it. Yeah, then it would have been awful. Instead, it's very, 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 very good. Is it an all-timer? That's the question. Like, I definitely see myself playing this game again at some point. So at the very least, it's we will revisit. But is it an all-timer? In the world of Metroidvanias, which I feel like I have enough experience with at this point to say that I have a lot of games to compare it against. I do think it's at the upper end of it. I think it's an all-timer. It's like right in the line between will revisit an all-timer, but it's very, very good. Like, I really, really liked this game. It had enough of its own identity. Mostly because, like, I really like difficult platforming challenges, and this game had that in droves. Like, I remember the last stream of it where I had to, like, figure out how to rebound off of, like, a million different walls in order to climb this, like, shaft that went up, like, 5 screens of length. And you had to, like, do, like, a sequence of 20 different inputs at the same time in order to get to the top. And it was, like, fun to figure out because it required, like, a bunch of different movement options and understanding of the controls. It was great. This was a very, very, very good game. And if you think that you would enjoy it, you can purchase it on Steam for $22. Which I think is about the right price for that game, honestly. If you could pick it up for cheaper, I would say there's no reason not to. Hell yeah. I need some water because I am talking a lot. Okay, next game. After Lone Fungus, I played Lies of P. Oh, thanks for the hydrate, Nick. If you like Dark Souls, if you like Sekiro, you will like Lies of P. This game absolutely fucking ruled. It was unabashedly copied the homework of FromSoft in their series, but it did enough of its own thing to make it stand out. The weapon customization system was super cool. The aesthetic of like these steampunk puppets I jammed with a lot. I was a little less interested in the weird like energy zombies that were also a part of the game, but the steampunk puppet stuff was super cool. Wrapping it in the Pinocchio lore was very interesting. Yeah, the fact that the story was like digestible and like present, I appreciated a lot, because I am a bigger fan of that style of storytelling rather than read the description of this flower in order to understand the motivation of the Dark King. No, I'm good. DLC next year? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. My only real gripe with Lies of P is that I think it could have been more difficult. Like, I beat the final boss in like 4 attempts. Even like the hardest boss in this game only took like a few hours to do. I think this game could have been harder. It was so good though. Like, it took the assignment and it aced every part of it. Just great aesthetic, good story, fun combat, interesting progression system. All around just like a very, very, very good package. Like, I believe that this, as like a Dark Souls-like, or a Souls-like, it deserves to be spoken in the same breath as the other FromSoft titles. I believe we're in advertisements right now, so we'll wait a little bit before continuing. You think it's better? I don't know if it's better, but I think it definitely... It's like at the same level as the FromSoft games. Okay. Of the FromSoft games, where would Lies of P land in like the hierarchy of them for me? It's definitely better than Dark Souls 3. It's definitely better than Dark Souls 2. I think it's around like the same level for me as like Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne. Which means that it's like, it's obvious, it's an all-timer. Like, it's... Lies of P is so, so good. They like did the little teaser at the end. Hold on. I'm still talking about it, so I should probably keep it in spoiler. It had the little teaser at the end that like was talking about like Alice, which I assume is like an Alice in Wonderland thing. And if they want to like bring in that lore into this style as well, then like I'm here for it. Very, very cool. This game had a heavy reliance on parrying, which is my jam. Parrying might be my favorite mechanic in games in general. Every time a game has parries as a thing, I'm like, hell yeah. Granted, I will, when we get to On Guard, I'll have to put a little asterisk on it because I think On Guard, we'll get to it. But like, Lies of P mixing my 9 Souls. I'm so excited for 9 Souls. Like, you don't even know. I'm so ready for 9 Souls. Yeah, Lies of P is like basically Sekiro parry system mixed with the Bloodborne revenge mechanic, and that's like, that's so good. It's so good. Yeah, this game was fantastic. They confirmed Lies of P too. I mean, I'll play it. I will be there to play it. Yeah. So where does this land? It's above Lone Fungus. Do I like Liza P more than Crosscode? They're close, man. I think purely because Crosscode literally, like, gives me warm, fuzzy feelings whenever I think about it is enough to make me keep Crosscode above Liza P. But I thoroughly enjoyed my entire experience with this game. So I think I'm going to put it there for now. Hell yeah. If you do not own Liza P, it is available on Steam for $48, which I think is a totally reasonable price for a game of this quality. I would probably pay, like, the fact that this isn't a AAA cost is already, like, more than I expect. So hell yeah. Liza P, great. Pseudo Regalia is what we played after Liza P. Also known as the game with the thick goat. This was such a cool, fun platforming experience. It got knocked out in like a single stream. I distinctly remember doing super difficult platforming sections that did not need to be difficult because there was a movement upgrade that I just didn't have that would have made them a lot easier. But the fact that I was able to do them still with the options that were in this game means that there's like just so much going on in terms of the platforming mechanics of this game. I would love a full-ass, like, 20-hour long platforming game that used the mechanics from this one. It's such, like, I don't know if this was meant to be as, like, a proof of concept, or if this is just, like, this is what this is going to be. I'm really hoping that it is the former, because if this studio is just like, we're gonna take Thick Goat Lady, we're gonna put her into a game that's, like, 3 times as long, but keeps, like, the tight mechanics. The combat felt super superfluous, I agree, but that's not the reason why this game was made. This was 100% for... Yeah, Regalia is the next game. Yeah. This game was 100% made for the platforming. There was like a boss fight in the tutorial section, and then a boss fight at the end, and then the rest were just like these random dirtily enemies that didn't really contribute much to the game. And I agree with that. That's like one thing that the game could build upon. But in terms of like the movement and the jumping and the wall kicks and the bouncing and the long jumps, and it just all felt so good. It worked the way you would expect it to, and it's great. This game is great. I think if it were longer, I would put it in all-timer, but if I wanted to just like have a fun time jumping around and platforming, this is a great game to come to. In terms of that. So I'll put it in Will Revisit. I can't put it in all-timer, but I do think if there was like a longer experience associated with this game, it could definitely be up there, for sure. I was thoroughly impressed. The game just felt good to play. And that like goes a long way for me. Especially like in the platforming genre. There's like not much story or anything to talk about with it. It's just like, and I don't think that's like what the game was even really about either. Pseudo Regalia is only $8 on Steam right now. Buy this game. It should be in your library. You should play it, and you should have a good time with it. You know. And if you're like of a furry persuasion, you probably really like this game. Because this goat rabbit thing, she got the thighs. It's like strangely pronounced. Okay. After Pseudo Regalia was the Valentine's Day special, Howtiful Boyfriend, which is a dating sim where you date birds. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very silly. I think we did like 2 run-throughs of the game. One, we got to the ending with the guy that was secretly a ghost. And then we got the ending with the serial killer doctor guy. The hot doctor. Yeah, the hot doctor that was secretly a serial killer who I believe I gave this voice to. Ooh. It was silly. It's like, it's very tongue-in-cheek, but like, I feel like once you get past the initial, like, what game? How Oldable Boyfriend. It's the dating sim with the birds that we played on Valentine's Day. Yeah, like, the problem, it's like very funny, the initial concept, but once you get past the, like, the shock or like the gimmick, then it just kind of becomes like a very bog standard visual novel. And visual novels are just like, in general, just kind of meh, you know? Because like the gameplay is click your button to progress dialogue and then occasionally make a branching tree decision. It's fine. But for the bit, it was worth it. Jacko Full Boyfriend. Yeah, exactly. Sure. There's not much more I can really say about it. But if you wanted to play it for yourself, it's $11 on Steam right now. So there you go. You promise? Sure. So after Valentine's Day, I believe we did my birthday stream. And on my birthday stream, one Minimal Nebby was kind enough to gift the Exit 8 to me, which is a puzzle game where you are trapped in like a subliminal space where you're trying to walk through a corridor 8 times correctly to get out of it. Otherwise, it loops around and repeats itself. And the way you do that is by noticing anomalies in the repeating hallway. So, like, you need to keep super close attention to everything that's going on in it. And it turns out I was really fucking bad at this game. Because every time, like, I had a system, I was, like, checking everything that I thought that I needed to check. And then as soon as I got, like, close, I would apparently miss something and it would reset. And it got too much for me after, like, I don't know, 2 hours of just running and hoping. And then Counterfeit was like, I beat it in 20 minutes. And I'm like, cool. It's a cool little experience. And it's like an interesting idea. But in terms of, like, as a game, it's fine. Maybe I just put it in meh because I'm salty. It could be that. But I mean, like, I put it down and it could have been a simple, like, let's go back and try and beat it, but I've never felt the urge to try and beat it again. So, there's that. If you want to play it for yourself, I believe it's super cheap. Yeah, it's $5 on Steam. So, I mean, like, there's very little... It's a low entry to go into it. So, I mean, like, if you're curious, you can check it out. It was just, you know, it was fine. It wasn't really for me. At that time, I picked up all the Mega Man collections because there was a Humble Bundle for them. And I originally had the intention of, like, working my way through all of them. I probably still will at some point. But, like, the first day of streams with them, I got through both Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 2 in like 2 hours each. Because granted, I just pulled up a guide that was like, this is the order that you want to tackle the bosses in order to have the best time. Now, prior to playing these on stream, I had played Mega Man 2 before and had beaten Mega Man 2. And Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 2 are basically like identical in my eyes. And Mega Man 3, which isn't on the list because I haven't beaten it yet, and I do plan on it sometime. I got to like the very final boss of Mega Man 3 and I just could not figure out how to beat it. But apparently there is like a trick to it and I just never did the trick. Anyway, these Mega Man games are classics. They're hard as nails, but like they're fun. You know? In that old school kind of way. And granted, they gave you the ability to save state, which definitely lowered the frustration that comes along with it. I bet if I was playing it on like original hardware and you know, you lose lives and you basically have to restart or manually input the codes. You're feeling Mega Man and Yakuza tier? Nah. But they're like so easy to pick up and play that like there's no reason that you couldn't just like sit down and want to do a gaming sesh with the Mega Mans, you know? There's not much to say about Mega Man that hasn't really already been said. You jump and shoot. It's a weekend game. It's a weekend game. Exactly. Exactly. Play it, finish it, move on with your life. You can do it in like a short sitting. Even if you aren't like a Mega Man expert. It shouldn't take you more than a couple hours to get through a Mega Man game if you have like the quality of life stuff that come along with like the Mega Man package that's on Steam. Speaking of which, I got every single Mega Man game as part of a humble bundle for like $45. So you can get the collections for around like $12 to $15 each is what it looks like. Counterfeit did it in like 20 minutes. Yeah, well, we can't all be counterfeit, you know? Not all of us are as impressive as they are. But Mega Man good. Play Mega Man. Jump and shoot. And if you're in Mega Man 2, just get the woodcutter ability and use that to beat the game because it's incredibly overpowered. It's 8-directional, has like infinite ammo, and everything's weak to it. It's crazy. Anyway. After Mega Man 2 was a Zavis game redemption, we got Ghost of Tsushima. So Ghost of Tsushima, we'll start with price on this one, just to get it out of the way. It's a AAA game, so it's expensive. It's probably still like $80. Ghost of Tsushima Director Cut is still $80 on Steam. So AAA open world samurai game / ninja game. Credits 2 years. More like worse of Tsushima. There's a lot to like about this game. The combat is fun. It has like a parrying mechanic, which I'm a big fan of. The stealth sections are cool. It has a hodgepodge of side content, like saving villages and chasing down foxes. Can I get a fox bounce in chat? You got a bunch of random combats. You can do platforming challenges to save shrines. You can there's like a bunch of side missions with other characters that you can like complete their stuff to recruit them to help you in the main story mission stuff. It's cool. It's a very well-made game, and a lot of people like it for good reason. My problem with Ghost of Tsushima is a problem that I have with like a lot of open world AAA games, in that even though there's a lot of content, most of it doesn't feel worth doing after a certain point. Like, when I first started the game, I was like gung-ho. I was like, yeah, there's so much stuff to do, and I'm gonna like try and do as much as I can. And I did that for the first 2 of 3 areas for the game. But by the time I got to the 3rd area, it's like, there's nothing new here, man. It's just the same missions. It's just the same missions over and over and over. And they're not, like, for the first 2, they were introducing new mechanics at a steady enough pace that it's kept it fresh enough. But by the time you got to the 3rd area and you had basically unlocked everything, yes, snacks. It basically just kind of felt like, you know, you're marking off the checklists. And this is not a problem specifically of Ghost of Tsushima. This is like kind of a purveying problem in general with like modern game design, in that like there's this incessant need to try and push the game to be like as big as it possibly can be, because every game has to have like infinite stuff to do, and it needs to be expansive and high fidelity, and everything you need to be able to see shit in real time, and it's just like I'd rather just have a fun experience. And I was having fun with Ghost of Tsushima for about the first like 40 hours. Yeah, the game needs to be expensive and have infinite things to do. It really doesn't, is the thing, right? You could probably cut like a solid 1/3 of the content out of Ghost of Tsushima, and it would still be worth the price tag that it had, and it probably would benefit from it. So, like, it's a very, very well-made game. But in terms of like, is it an all-timer? Probably to some people, yeah. To me, it's like a very well-made game. But I was very done with it by the time that I got to the end. Like, I felt like, man, I kind of just want this game to be over. And I feel like if a game gets to that point, then like, you're probably doing something wrong, right? Open world games are kind of like that, sadly. Most of them necessitate pushing through bullshit. Sure, but then you have stuff like Breath of the Wild where I just never really felt that, you know? It's been 2 years! Games have met corporate profit expectation. The shareholders want $1 billion, so the game is going...
Y'all, he's done IT.
It's gonna have to cost at least $6. Yeah, it's all corporate shit, which is just like... That's not a fault of the game. That's a fault of the game industry. And it's a... I don't know. That's not something I can really hold against Ghost of Tsushima specifically, right? It's a good game. I just wish it was a little shorter. But it was good. After Ghost of Tsushima, I did a Super Mario 64 120 star run. I had never collected all 120 stars in Super Mario 64 before. And it took like a couple streams, like 2, maybe 3 streams to do it. And it was fun for the first like 110 stars. And then there's like 10 stars that are like, But, I mean, it's Super Mario 64, man. It defined platforming in 3D games forever. I just want to blame the right people for the game, the fans. Yeah, the gamers, man. Fucking gamers, am I right? Just standing there pounding their just like, we need more content. And like, no, you don't. Games are allowed to end eventually, you know? If they're, like, you don't need to just keep adding repeating content. Like, it's weird, because, like, I played Ghost of Tsushima for probably, like, not even half the time that I played Persona 5, but I felt infinitely more burnt out by Ghost of Tsushima than I did on, like, Persona 5 or even Baldur's Gate 3, which we'll get to eventually. Which are both games that I put way more time into, but because there was so much things to do that were unique and different, it kept the experience fresh, right? And those games felt like they justified their super long playtimes. when Ghost of Yokai was revealed and people saw there's a female protag, some people said they're not buying it, while others said they're going for every hot spring. Is Ghost of Yokai like a sequel or something? I don't know. Both those responses are exactly what I would expect out of the gaming community, and both of them suck equally. It's either... ultimately, they both boil down to misogyny, just different flavors of them. It's like, are you a horny misogynist, or are you a I hate women misogynist? It's the same studio. Yeah, but is it basically just gonna be Ghost of Tsushima, but now you're a woman? Super Mid 64? Why not both? Why not both? Super Mario 64 is an all-timer. We're still talking about Super Mario 64. I feel like it's disingenuous to say anything besides that. I've played this game so many times in my life, and I keep coming back to it because it's just fun to play. This game is just fun. I literally haven't even thought about the hot springs, but yeah, the online discourse was, ugh. Yeah, it's probably not worth even, like, thinking about it, man. Super Mario 64 is here. It's the grandfather of modern platformers. It deserves the respect that it has. It has a huge speedrunning community for a reason. The game just plays very well, despite the fact that it came out in 1997. And there's been like so many advancements in the way that games play and control. The biggest hits against it for its age are like its camera controls. But like that's just how it is. Just like DK64. No, DK64's got a lot more problems than that. But I didn't play DK64. That's a thing for Brungo to talk about in the future. How many endings does it have? For what? Are we talking about Ghost of Tsushima? I think 2. Plays very well, unless you walk on an edge or slope or try to move your camera. Yeah, I don't know, man. Every game. Oh, you're talking about, like, gamers being like, it needs multiple endings and branching paths, and I need to be able... How many polygons? How many polygons? Ugh. Ugh. I say. Get good. Super Mario 64 is available everywhere for free. If you... like, you can emulate this game super easy. But also, like, it's been ported a million billion times. You can play this game if you want to play it. Balatro. Boys, girls, they thems of the chat. We've done it. We've arrived to Balatro. Arguably, in my opinion, the most game that's come out in so long. It's just a perfect game experience. It's simple to understand, incredibly deep, infinitely replayable. Oh my god. Balatro is right up there next to Slay the Spire and games that I will probably continue to play until the day that I die. Because it is just perfect as a game experience. It's perfect. There's nothing, like, the developer is adding balance changes to it in real time in response to the feedback. There's not much that can be said about Balatro. This is, in my game of the year, like, I know it's just like an indie game where you play with cards, but Jesus Christ, it's just perfect at what it set out to do. It's got one soundtrack that you never get tired of because it has, like, progressive sound design that changes depending on what you're doing inside of the game. It's... Just as a gaming experience, it just does everything that it needs to do. Like, it's simple, but like that's what makes it so good, you know? It just game where number go up, but that's all it needs to be, and it's I just keep coming back to it, man. I don't know what it is about Balatro in particular. It's dopamine. It's crack for my brain. Hell yeah, Balatro, man. I play it. Buy it, play it, lose yourself in it. Like so many others before. Buy Jokers, the Jimmies. There's also a big modding community for this game too. And rightfully so. Anyway. I can't really say much more about Balatro because it's just so simple. But it's everything it needs to be. You'll probably see me play it on stream more in the future. Because it's just such a good way to kill time if you have extra time. Toem. Toem was a short puzzle game. It was black and white. You play it as like a little duder. A little cute duder in a raincoat with a puzzle box. Or with a picture box. And you went around, you took pictures in order to solve puzzles in various areas of the game. We ended up 100%ing this one because it was like relatively easy to do. Though, absolutely not worth doing. Because the extra achievement stuff was like... You made me sit around and watch a snail for like 10 minutes. And that alone made me mad. But it was a cute puzzle game. And they all kind of just end up in this area for me. Where it's like... They're simple. They were worth the experience. But they're not something I'll ever play again. Because, like, once you know the solution to those puzzles... then that kind of, like, that's it for the game. Granted, some puzzle games get above that hump. I'm thinking Outer Wilds, Oberdin, Patrick's Parabox, or whatever. But when it comes to, like, these fairly simplistic puzzle games that are kind of going more for, like, an artsy kind of vibe, they all kind of end up in this area, you know? Where the puzzles aren't difficult, it's just a matter of just, like, doing them and like experiencing what the game is like trying to get you to experience. I do think Toem is better than these two though. Like I'd put it at the top of the worth playing one. Because it had more going on than these two. If you do not own Toem, it is $26. I would probably wait for that one to go on sale if you were looking to buy it. Also, I never mentioned how much Balatro was. Balatro's only $18 for a game that you'll play forever. There's also a Balatro plus Slay of the Spire combo pack for $44. It's like they know. It's like they know that they are the perfect, infinitely playable games. Toem to wait for a sale. Yeah, I would wait for a sale on Toem. Yeah. Anyway. After Toem was Haiku the Robot. So Haiku was another Metroidvania that was part of the bundle that included Lone Fungus and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night and Hollow Knight and a few other ones. This one, it was unabashedly a Hollow Knight clone. This was like almost one for one exactly a Hollow Knight clone, but it was way easier than Hollow Knight. The maps was less open. The art style was cute. The main character being a round little robot boy was good. This was a very middle of the road Metroidvania for me. I had higher expectations I had higher expectations for this one because on the, I don't know why, but in my mind, I compared these two a lot. Mostly because they were probably because they were in the same package and they both had like this cutesy main character. Brown little robot boy bottom right. Thank you. Thank you. I would say Haikyuu is... So, like, with the Metroidvanias that I really love, I try and see everything that the game has to offer. I feel compelled to, like, do all the challenges, to explore every corner of it, like Blasphemous, like Lone Fungus, like Hollow Knight. Wanted to do as much as I possibly could. Haikyuu, I just didn't have that motivation. Like, it was basically as soon as I got to the end, I was like, okay, I'm done with this one. I would say it's worth playing if you like Metroidvanias. If they're not really your jam, then this one's, like, probably worth skipping, honestly. It's fun. It was the definition of fine. It is available for $11.50, which I think is like an okay price for this game. It had very good art style, and like its lore was very similar to Hollow Knight and Dark Souls, where it's like you need to look at the environment in order to figure everything out, and it's like it's robots, so it's like semi-post-apocalyptic or whatever. It was profoundly okay. I believe next is, yeah. Next is Bugsnax. Bugsnax is a puzzle game where you're a reporter who is sent to an island filled with little creatures that are bugs that also happen to be like snack food. And the puzzles in this game are finding ways to catch the different bug snacks and then like catalog them and then feed them to the residents of the town that's on the island. And the story is that you're going around collecting the townspeople and getting them all to like reconvene back in the main central hub area after there was like a weird fallout between them all. And it gets revealed that the bug snacks are actually like parasites that are slowly going to turn everyone into awful nightmare creatures. Every time one of the residents eats a bug snack, a part of their body gets replaced by the food that the bug is. I hated this game. I did not like this game at all. Because it just felt like it did not work, man. There were so many puzzles in this game that the game wanted you to do a specific thing, and the mechanics just did not work quite well enough for them to actually do the thing that they wanted you to do. / the AI on the bugs was like spotty at points, so even if you like had the right solution, there's just a chance that it wouldn't work. Every character was so fucking weird and annoying. There was just nothing about this game that clicked with me, man. Yeah, it was better than Bloodstained Shin Megami Tensei 4, but I just had such a bad time playing this game. And by the time I was finished with it, I was like, yeah, I'm glad that one's done. And it was I feel like it was supposed to be cute, but it was ugly as sin, man. These weird, like, Muppet-looking villagers on their own were fine. They were kind of charming. They had, like, the big yappy mouths. But as soon as they started becoming like these awful eldritch monsters with like random pizza slices and apple slices and curly fries just like popping out of every orifice, it was just awful to look at, man. I hated it. It was just a fucking body horror nightmare. So yeah. Apparently there's a sequel. The only way I'm gonna play it is if it wins the raffle, Rudy. Because I've got like no love for this game in me at all. And I feel bad because it's another viewer redeem game. Anyway, moving on. Jump King. Gameplay looked like that. That was my biggest issue. Cutesy transhumanist body horror played straight. Yeah, and the gameplay also didn't feel good. It just, nothing about the game felt good, man. What was after that? Sorry. Jump King! This was the April Fool's Day game where I willingly decided to sit down and play Jump King. The Jump King stream was good. I'm glad that you had fun with it, because I didn't. This is a rage bait game, and yep. That's exactly what it was. Just level layouts that are designed to make you fall as far as possible. No UI indications to let you know how far your character is supposed to jump. It's all based on feels. The most annoying fucking new chatters showing up just being ass the entire time. I wonder what happened to the rogue backseating first time chatter. Yep. It was a rage bait game. It successfully baited the rage. It goes right there. I still don't hate it as much as Bloodstained or Shin Megami Tensei 4, but I mean, it's a game that is designed to make you hate it, and it did a good job. Don't jump that way. Left. Go left. The Jump King community never disappoints. It takes a special kind of fucking insane to peruse the Jump King fucking channel and just jump in and be like, where did your life go? How is this your life? Why is this how you're choosing to spend your fucking time? Get a job. Anyway, yeah, fuck Jump King. Moving on. After Jump King, I predicted 3 for 3. Yep. Was In Stars in Time. I really liked this game. I really, really liked In Stars in Time. It was a RPG Maker game where it was like, had a time looping mechanic between your main character, who was named Sifrin. Then you had Isabeau, you had Annabelle, and you had a few. Ghouls and Goblins was last year. That was in Dogwater as well. It's like very much a narrative focused game. Like the first bit of the game before you get to like the end of part 1 has like a focus on combat and like a rock, paper, scissors thing. But as the narrative proceeds, the game quickly stops focusing on that and focuses more on the narrative, which is revolving around like trauma, depression, self-identity, like a lot of deep themes, and it handled a lot of them, I think, in a very well-told manner. It went to some dark places. Watching Sifrin unravel as like more and more options get taken away from them was very compelling. I really appreciated that there was an asexual character. We got some representation there, which I enjoyed quite a bit. There was the trans character representation, which I loved. It felt like there was a lot of love put into this game. I think the art was very cute. I think the story was compelling, and that's basically all it was. I feel like if you enjoy narratives in games, this is a game that you should play, because I got a lot out of the narrative myself. I look back on the characters very fondly, because they were all very well realized, and their motivations were all very unique. The world itself had like this interesting lore. The magic system was unique. The fact that everything was like black and white ended up coming around as well. It was very, very good. Like, I can't see myself playing it again, because it's a game that was made basically to be played one time. It's there for the narrative. But I can't really say that I because of that, well, I can't just say that it would end up in this criteria because I can't see myself playing it again. Because it's really fucking good. But it's also, like, not an all-timer. Yeah, honestly, I do think it kind of lands in this area for me. Weirdly enough, I do think it's in Yakuza tier. Where it's, like, better than Will Revisit, but not an all-timer, you know? Like, I think this game is just an anomaly. It's so good. We did it, Reddit. Like, I truly enjoyed In Stars in Time. I'm glad that I stumbled upon it and decided to play it, because it was just a very good experience, in my opinion. And if you didn't see me play it, or you haven't, like, seen anything about it, check it out. Please do. I think that there's a lot of love put in this game, and it shows. And it's available for $26, and I think that is for the quality of the writing that's in that game, I think it's absolutely worth that price. Yeah. Alright. Okay, I was checking to see if we'd get to Rain World before Brungo has to start a stream. We will. But we have 2 games to talk about first. Gravity Bone. This was a game suggested by Rabbit after we beat In Stars in Time and we had a little bit of time left in stream. This game took like 20 minutes to beat. You play as a spy. Everyone's got a weird blockhead, and you kind of gotta just like walk around, deliver the package, and then there's a chase scene, and then your character dies, and the light flashes before their eyes. It was good. It was good. I don't know. It was worth playing. It was a short, sweet little game. I probably won't ever play it again, but it was definitely worth the short amount of time that I put into it. I believe it was also free to play? So, it was on itch, right, Rabbit? You're the one who linked it to me, so I feel like you know the price off the top of your head. First free list on the game, I'm sheep. It's on Steam? It is on Steam. Gravity Bone. Yeah, it's free on Steam. So, if you got like 20 minutes, go play Gravity Bone. It was worth doing. Please Touch the Artwork 2 was also a game from that same stream. It is a puzzle game where you go around and you click things in front of art, and you collect them in your inventory in order to piece together more art. It kind of falls in the exact same territory as all these other puzzle games, where it's like, yeah, it was artsy. You got to look at some cool pictures. The game itself was not difficult. Like, even if you had trouble finding a specific thing to touch on the artwork, the game itself would just be like, oh, it's right there. If you're struggling, yeah, it's right there. Go grab it. You're like, okay, cool. Yeah, super chill. Please Touch the Artwork 2. Please Touch the Artwork 2 is free. Whereas Please Touch the Artwork 1 is $12. Highball says, fuck Rain World, fuck Brungo, get out of my chat for 4 hours. Yeah, this game's also free. And, I mean, because it's free, if you want to play it, you can play it. If Ballstick doesn't put Rayroll Esther, I'm leaving in 15 minutes. Okay, alright, the next game we played was Rain World. I don't think there is a game that I have wanted to like more than Rain World that I just can't like. I played this game for 30 hours. And I would say that I had fun for 10 of those hours. And then it was just 20 hours of fucking misery. I understand what Rain World is trying to go for. The game is an ecosystem. It does not care about you. The AI is free roaming and has its own intricacies that do different things depending on not just you, but like the world itself and the other characters that are around in the world. But as a game, this was not fun to play. Your character controls like ass intentionally. You can just die fucking randomly at any given moment, which is fine if the game didn't have other things going on it that punished you for that. The main thing that gave me the biggest fucking gripe in this entire game was at one point I ended up inside of this area that was filled to the brim with fucking lizards that could shoot out their tongues or be invisible and just roaming all over the fucking place. And you could not leave it unless you got enough food to go through one of the 3 or 4 metal doors that locked you into the fucking place. And the food did not consistently respawn. You needed a lot of it, and if you died, you lost the progress that you made, and it's so much easier to die than it is to gather the food. So there was just hours of me just running around. Hours of just running around trying to collect food. And then just dying to all the random bullshit. And you're just like, I can't do anything. I'm just trying to leave this area so that I can do more of what this game has to offer. I just want to leave, and the game is punishing me for that. And that's mind-bogglingly bad game design in my mind. Like, if I am already fucking struggling, don't punish me further for that. The struggle in and of itself should be the punishment. I shouldn't also have to get kicked while I am down. And that's this whole game. And there was just too many times where like, the AI's, this is what you need to do in order to progress through the game. But the AI needs to fucking cooperate with you, and you need to hope that the randomly fluctuating time period that you have between rainstorms cooperates with you. And it was endlessly infuriating. There was So there was so much to like about this game. The vision that exists in this game is so cool. The ideas that are present in there are super cool. But goddamn, did I not want to ever touch this game ever again. Even though I know there's like 8 other characters that have different ways to play, and now that you know your way through the game, it should be more fun to explore it a second time. Why would I ever want to play it again? Is my question. Like, everyone that showed up for me playing this game, like the people who are like diehard Rain World fans, they all said the exact same fucking thing, which is, this game is the first playthrough sucks. The first playthrough is miserable. Everyone fucking hates it. You have such a bad time the first time, but then when you get it to the second time, then you have a lot of fun. It's like, why would I play it another time? Legitimately. Like, why would I, after 20 hours of wanting to pull my fucking hair out, be like, time to dive in for another round? I wish that I liked this game, because I do think it's got some cool shit. But fuck me, man. Do I hate this game. I fucking hated Rain World so much, man. It literally just like the Stockholm Syndrome of games. It's fun if you've already committed the time to beat the game after it punched your teeth in for hours on end. It's like, I don't want to play that again, man. I don't care if it gets better. Like, if it's CBT. It's cock and ball torture, yeah. Neither way, it's not great. I truly don't play Path of Exile. I have played Path of Exile. I played it for like 15 hours and then never played it again. Yeah, I just thinking about Rain World, it puts me in a bad fucking mood, man. I can feel my blood pressure just rising thinking about that fucking game, man. So anyway, if you want to buy Rain World, it's $32. I got it as part of the bundle with Hollow Knight and the other Metroidvanias. I can't in good conscience tell you to spend $32 on this game. You occasionally get flashbacks on the Path of Exile skill tree. I watched you feel miserable playing that game for 2 weeks. You've earned this tirade. I feel like I'm a fucking crazy person when it comes to Rain World. Because it was 2 weeks of new chatters just showing up being like, yo, Rain World! I love this game! This game's great! Oh, fucking Rain World! Let's go! Have you done the thing yet? Are you gonna play the DLC? What do you think about this character? I'm just like, why? How do you all love this game? How is it nothing but people singing its praises? I feel like I'm fucking losing my mind. Because it legitimately felt like it was a giant joke that everyone was in on except for me. Like, I remember coming into the Bronco streams after playing this game and being like, I got to this point, and bro would be like, haha, yeah, I hated that too. And then he would smile and be like, good times. No, I think everyone kind of agreed that Bloodstained was awful. I don't think there was anyone in chat when I was playing Bloodstream that was, like, defending this game. There were defenders for Shin Megami, Jump King, Bugsnax, Rainworld. No one defended Bloodstained. Does Avery not like Bloodstained? I don't believe Avery had particularly strong opinions about Bloodstained. But I could be misremembering. Everything you're saying sounds reasonable. Magnificent game. When I got to the end of Rainworld, it had the section where you're just like swimming, and I distinctly remember you, Rabbit, Brungo, and then like the 5 random like truth stanners of Rainworld being like, peek, 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 and I'm like, I can't enjoy this. I don't enjoy. Like, I'm so miserable. I was so done that I could not enjoy it. I was just like, I just want this game to be fucking over. The Rainworld community is a whole thing. I bet it's like a shared trauma thing. You're all just like holding each other, crying, and being like, it was so fun. You're all lying to yourselves. You're all a bunch of fucking liars. So yeah, that was my opinion on Rainworld. I will never play that game again. It'll be a cold day in hell. Can I ban him now? No, in 4 minutes you can. Rhythm Sprout was a game that I played as a way to cool down after Rainworld. It was a super short rhythm game where you alternated between like 2 or 3 different button presses along with a beat. It had a cute little story about like vegetables and sugar and stuff. It's probably one of those fandoms that's very disconnected from the actual game. Lots of lore and fan of stuff. It's also pretty young. I think most of those rando chatters are probably teens. Maybe? I don't know. I don't even know. Like, it's just like, whenever I see any person talk about indie games in any kind of capacity, they're always just like, yeah, Rainworld, man. And I don't get the joke, man. I just don't get it. Yeah, like, the randos from the Rainworld stream, they showed up and then they never showed back up. They were like, they were there exclusively for Rainworld and then they dipped out. And it's like, I assume it's like the same thing where you're just like, yeah, they suffered the way that I suffered and I get to live vicariously through them and get to laugh at their suffering. It's what it feels like, man. Yeah, we're gonna like hold off on talking about Rhythm Sprout because the ads are up. But on the plus side, it's not the worst game that I played this year. You're back. Welcome back. Yeah, we're not... It's not the worst game. The art is good. Rainworld's got a very good aesthetic. Very atmospheric. And I get, like I said, there's a lot of things that I do appreciate about Rainworld. Yeah, we're going to talk about Rhythm Sprout now, which is just like... It was a nothing rhythm game. I played it. I don't remember much about it because it was very simple, very lenient, and not super interesting, I'll be honest. This game was very meh. It only took like 2.5 hours to beat, so like it was pretty short, but it left like a very nothing impression on me. It is $20, and I can't in good conscience recommend that game for $20. There are just better rhythm games that exist out there. And this one doesn't do anything. Yeah, $20, yeah, right? I would say if you can get it for like $5, then maybe. You know, when you suffered something horrible and find people who suffered the same and you find solace in that, that's the Rain World people. Yeah, but it's not just like, hey, we had like we have a mutual bonding experience over this horrible thing that we went through. They all have convinced each other that they loved it. That's the thing that drives me crazy about it. I have to get off Rain World, man. I have to get off of it. We'll talk about it forever if I do not stop talking about it. Ori and the Blind Forest. The first Ori game. This is my second time playing through it. Bye, Brongo. This game is gorgeous. The first one is heavily focused on the platforming aspect of it. Where, and like telling just like a cute story about nature and having a couple really cinematic like chase sequences after doing some puzzle-like dungeons. The new background's hella snazzy. Thank you. Brick walls, dude? Hold on one sec. I want to show something.
You're gonna love my nuts.
That's stained glass window. It's motherfucking stained glass. It's fucking cool as hell. I just had to point it out. It's I fucking love. It's so tall. Yeah, dude. The ceiling is wild. There's so much. It's so tall, man. It's great. That's probably why the acoustics in here sound pretty good. Anyway. Yeah. Ori's great. I really enjoyed the first Ori. It only took like 2 streams to beat, but I had played it before. The fact that it was my second playthrough, by default kind of means that this is a will revisit. I think it's like near the top, just from like a quality standpoint. These games are just beautiful, man. They're so good. Like, I can't really think of another indie game that is as pretty as Ori. Like, its art direction is astounding. We'll get to the sequel, but yeah, for the first one, big recommend. Both Ori games are recommend. Ori and the Blind Forest is $25 for the definitive edition, which I think is, worth it for sure. It also makes you cry. It also makes you cry. It tells a compassionate story. The music. Let's just take a second to just talk about how good the fucking music is in Ori, though. Wow! Like, the way it swells up whenever you're in, like, the chase sequences. Lovely games. A+. After Ori was Miitopia, which was a viewer-suggested game from Snacks. Or not Snacks, Sneeze. Somehow this game is 60 fucking hours long, and I don't understand how. I was, after 6 hours, 7 hours of this game, I was like, I have gotten everything that I could possibly want out of this game. How could someone willingly want to play this game for another 50 hours? Is mind-boggling me. The game just plays itself. I had the game permanently, like, my thumb was jammed down on the B button the entire time to make the game play faster. Because I'm like, the game just plays itself. And then there's just like cutscenes where you feed your Miis, and I get it. Like the entertainment value from Miitopia doesn't come from like the RPG stuff in the game. The entertainment comes from like making Miis and having funny faces and oh look, they interacted with each other. It's fucking Alvin and the Chipmunk talking to SpongeBob, and one of them's a king, and it's just like, okay, sure. The thing about Miitopia, though, in particular, is that it attracted some very strange chatters. Some, like, I can only assume very young chatters that all had, like, their OCs, that I can only assume that they went around to, like, Miitopia streams and were like, hey, random person playing Miitopia, can you put my OC inside of your game? And, you know, naively, I was like, sure, why not? I got nothing else going on. And then they were like, so this is this person, and this is their favorite kind of food, and this is, like, their personality type. And they really like to do this, but also they're, like, the dark princess queen of this realm. And I'm like, what the hell? Name a better duel. Raffle winner and Dogwater tier. No. I don't think this game is Dogwater. But I don't think it's good. I don't understand why... I don't understand the appeal. There are some people who adore this game. I don't get it. And it was $60, I believe. I had to buy this game for $60. And I'm like, no. This is not a game worth $60 fucking dollars. So, I think on that like, I'm gonna put this game at the bottom of meh. I didn't hate it, but I definitely didn't like it. I did it for 2 streams before I was like, I can't finish this game. I can't do like 10 streams of me just sitting here holding a button and reading dialogue. There are other games that I'm willing to do that for, but it's not like the dialogue was even interesting in Miitopia. It was just like, your bees went to the carnival today, and they were like, wow, nice clothes. And they were like, thanks. And then that would be the cutscene. And you're like, okay. And then the game would be like, and now they're in love! What? Okay. Weird game. And it was really funny that this was a game that I played prior to Baldur's Gate. Which is basically like, you have baby's first RPG, then legitimately the greatest RPG ever created. I'm just gonna take, like, I feel like you can't put Baldur's Gate 3 anywhere besides the top of all-timers. This game is a fucking feat. There is no game, I think, that should even try to replicate what Baldur's Gate 3 did. The amount of content, of scenarios, polish, voice acting. It's just, there's no game, I believe, that is quite as much a labor of love as Baldur's Gate 3 is. This game was in development forever. It has way too much content. Like, not in a bad way, it just has way too much content. The voice acting is incredible. The story is incredible. The way that they were able to translate fucking Dungeons and Dragons, a imagination-based tabletop RPG, into a fully fleshed out world using the mechanics of D&D 5 in a way that works and isn't like constrictive. It just lets you do the things that you think that you'd be able to do. Every time you're like, man, can I do this? Yes, you can, because the devs are insane. I love this game because it's a triumph. This is like the pinnacle of what a game should. I shouldn't say it like that. This is the pinnacle. No other game should try and replicate this game. No other game should try and hold this as the new standard, because this is a unreasonably high quality. Like, if every game strived to be a Baldur's Gate 3, nothing would ever get made. The already overworked game industry would crumble because there'd be just too much. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 is an exception rather than the norm. And the fact that it did so well and deservingly won Game of the Year in a year filled with like a lot of really good games is wild. Like, there's nothing quite like this game, and I can't imagine anything even coming close to it again. I love how this game came out when a lot of AAA... Yeah, like, this is a AAA game with a set story that is, I would argue, probably infinitely replayable. I only got 4 party members of the 10, because apparently I'm just really bad at doing the things that you need to do to get party members, and I still felt like I had a full experience. Like, I only had Gale, Shadowheart, and Lizelle, my beloved, and fucking Asterion, piece of shit. But they were so well realized characters. And the thing is, like, I know that I only saw one potential path for these characters that have like infinitely branching dialogue options. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. This game is legitimately, I think, infinitely replayable, which is crazy because it's not like a roguelike that is designed to be infinitely replayable. There's just so much content in it, and there's so much unique things to do that you're not even going to have the same experience as another person. This is like the ultimate water cooler game, where you can sit down and talk with someone else who has played it and be like, I did this, and they'll be like, whoa, that's what happens when you do that. And it's just, you could just keep doing that over and over and over. It's wild to me. Are there other RPGs known for being replayable? Not really. Like, if you replay RPGs if you like really like the story or whatever. Like, I've replayed Final Fantasy X multiple times, but that's just because I really like the combat and the story of that game. But like, I also could understand people being like, I'm never gonna play it again because I got everything I want out of it. Baldur's Gate, like, I know that if I were to start up another playthrough of Baldur's Gate, it would be nothing like my first playthrough. It would be entirely different. And that's crazy. And I would have a fully different experience. This is without a doubt one of the best games ever made. I truly am worried that too many game studios or devs or higher ups are gonna be like, we need to try and do what Baldur's Gate 3 did, because they shouldn't. We already see that shit happening with GTA 6 taking forever. Like, GTA 6 is gonna be like a multi-billion dollar game when it comes out, but like, it's too much, man. Rockstar, you gotta stop, man. And Baldur's Gate 3, I think, like, unfortunately, with how good it is, I feel like it just kind of contributes to that mentality, which is a problem. But I'm not gonna hold it against Baldur's Gate 3. This game is, like, top of the top of the top. I mean, like, it's a AAA game. You know this game is expensive. It's probably $80. It's only $64 right now. What the hell? Yeah, for $64, buy this game. That's like the most bang for your buck that you're gonna get out of almost any game. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3, man. Hell yeah. And we played that for like 2.5 months. So after that was a viewer redemption game, which was Metal Hellsinger, which was a game suggested by Zavis. It was a heavy metal rhythm shooter game. The soundtrack was killer. This game was so fun. We got to the final boss, and then there was a strange spike in difficulty, and I never finished it, but I got to the end. The adaptive soundtrack based on your performance, so good. This game was awesome. It gave me some Ultra Kill vibes, like a little bit. But yeah, rhythm shooter, killer soundtrack, awesome aesthetic, fun tongue-in-cheek story. There was a lot to like about this game. I could see myself revisiting it eventually. I'm gonna put it there. There's nothing to dislike about this game. I think we had like a weird graphical glitch, whatever, but like what? That didn't affect the gameplay whatsoever. I distinctly remember myself just kind of like bopping the entire time I was playing. Which is what you kind of want out of a game that is, you know, based on its soundtrack. And also, Metal Hellsinger is only $12 on Steam right now. So yes, please, buy it. This game is worth $12. This game is worth the $12. This is a rhythm game that is both better and cheaper than Rhythm Spout. So that's pretty cool. Ooh. Next was Pizza Tower. Bro, Pizza Tower is so sick. I knew that this was a game that I would enjoy. But the hand-drawn style, the absolutely batshit insane, just everything. The speed-based platforming with, like, just... This game is so good, man. It was fun. It was very unique. I think it was, like... It was drawing a lot from, like, Wario Land, I believe, which is a series that I haven't played, but, like... This style of platforming where it was just, like, you need to run and just, like, keep sprinting, and you need to, like, perfectly dodge or, like, platform in order to, like, get out as quickly as possible and, like, score rankings basing on how well you do. I could see this being, like, one of those games that you could get, like, deep in the weeds of just trying to perfect. This game was awesome. And it didn't even, like, take all that long to beat, but I imagine if I, like, wanted to try and, like, S-rank the entirety of this game, it would require a much longer time commitment. Which means that, like, I could see myself going back to it. I think I still prefer Pseudo Regalia as a platformer over Pizza Tower, just because, like, this game's crazy, but I enjoyed how this game controlled more. Like, I know the intention behind the design of this game is to make your character a little, like, hard to control. But I prefer, like, the more precision stuff that you can do in a game like Pseudo Regalia. Yeah, pretty straightforward answer on that one. Moncage! Hey, it's another short puzzle game, which was also part of the same pack of games as Toem, Behind the Frame, Gorogoa. This one was a puzzle game where you had a glass cube, and each side of the cube had like a different scene happening inside of it, and you could change things inside of one of the scenes in order to affect stuff that happened in the other by like lining up the like changing perspective between the two like different sides. It was cool. It's a good emote. Oh, that's Satan's bunk. Oh, Satana's got good emote. I think of these like puzzle games, this is probably my favorite one because I think the mechanic inside of it was the most interesting one. I'm not ignoring snackies. I'm being tortured here. I'm being gaslit. I would put this at the top of worth playing. No, it's fine. No, you're fine. It's fine. You just know if Snacks was here? Yeah, it's because they're usually pretty subdued. If there's one thing I could say about Snacks, particularly in my chat, is that they tend to keep to themselves, be very quiet, tend to not, you know, cause a ruckus. These are the attributes that I would prescribe to Snacks. You know? Anyway, puzzle games. They all kind of end up in worth playing. I'm always here. I know you are. You might not notice me. Well, I mean, like, no one can confirm that, I don't think. The non-agitator, that's true. Yeah, unfortunately, like, all these puzzle games kind of just end up in the same mental space for me. They're all good. Like, there's nothing wrong with them, but they're also just, like, short one-stream experiences that, you know, once they're done, I can't ever really see myself going back to, right? But Moncage, if you're curious, is $18 currently on Steam. Now, I don't know if I would pay that much for this either. Maybe my perception on the price of these games is a bit skewed because I got them all in like a bundle. And like I think that the bundle was like maybe $40 and I got like 8 of these puzzle games that are being asked for about $15 each in that bundle. But as is, you know, they're good. They're good games. Hello, Snacks. Welcome. It's nice to see you. Bug Fables. Yo, let's talk about Bug Fables. If you like Paper Mario, but you're like, ah, man, Paper Mario is a bit too easy, I got the game for you. This game was sick. I love Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Love that. Love that game. And this felt, I would say, like, the story is about the same quality as it. I know Brungo thinks that the story's way better in Bug Fables. I would say it's, like, around the same kind of level. The characters are charming. I really enjoyed Vi/Vi/ however you want to pronounce her name. Kabu and... oh, God, what's the moth? What was the moth's name? Oh, God. They talked like this. But it was fine. The combat was... The fact that, like, they took the combat of Paper Mario and they decided... Leaf, thank you. They took the combat of Paper Mario and they were like, hey, we're gonna, like, make it more challenging by adding, like, drawbacks to basically everything. And when you're used to Paper Mario initially, you're like, oh man, these drawbacks are pretty rough. But the fact that you can, like, use the drawbacks in conjunction with some other things to, like, turn them into a benefit was really cool. And also, like, when you figure it out, oh, did it feel good. Like, I remember specifically fighting one of the super bosses, and Kabu was, like, able to take down the boss by himself just because of, like, his position plus his extra defense boosts in conjunction with V just, like, self-reviving every other turn, and then Kabu just, like, healing through all the damage. it felt so good to like figure out the combat in this game. And then like action commands and all that stuff that like they pulled directly from the Paper Mario games are that they took the stuff that was good and they brought it in there. The side content was fun, the characters were interesting, the story had a weird surprise. There's eldritch horror stuff in the background, which I don't know why I'm always surprised by it, because it's just like a staple of indie game development at this point, where, haha, things are actually secretly fucked up the whole time, because people just can't help themselves. It's like, yo, what's up, Nebby? It's like, why is my game about, like, talking bugs all of a sudden have, like, Cthulhu looking at me? I'm a little beetle and a bee. This game is cute. It's good. I can see myself playing it again. I want to put it in an all-timer. It's like right up there with like, I would say it's like on par with Thousand Year Door as an experience for that kind of thing. And I've replayed Thousand Year Door like countless times, and I could see myself coming back and replaying Bug Fables in the future as well. This game ruled. Big fan. Meow. Let's see. What's next? Oh, wait. I need to tell you how much it costs. Bug Fables is only $25. And I believe how much did how long did I play Bug Fable for? 40 hours? Yeah, like hell yeah. Good cost for the price, or good cost for the gameplay. It wasn't 20 minutes, but I pretty much just said that Balatro is just the most game that ever came out. It's just a perfect game experience. Yeah, Bug Fable good. Play Bug Fable if you have not played Bug Fable. After Bug Fable, I played another Crab's Treasure. Crab Souls! Hey, how are you today, man? I'm good. How you doing, Pipe Gill? We are ranking all the games that I played in the last year. You've been addicted to the Bazaar. What's the Bazaar? If you don't mind me asking. So Crab Souls. This is only this team's second game, from my understanding. It's a digital card game. Oh? Go on. If you like Balatro, it's better than it. That's some big talk. And NFT enjoyer? Made by a former Hearthstone streamer and NFT enjoyer. It doesn't incorporate like NFT stuff in it though, does it? I would prefer if it did not. No? Okay, cool. So another Crab's Treasure. This is a very competent Souls-like. It has a fun, tongue-in-cheek story, while also being, like, mildly depressing at points. Like, our main character going through the ringer of realizing that, like, the world is kind of built to work against him, no matter how much he tries and struggles against it. It's, like, clearly a capitalism metaphor, especially since, like, one of the final bosses is a crapitalist. And it's just like, okay, you're not being too subtle about it, which is fine. Or the fact that there's, like, microplastics floating everywhere in the ocean. Or the fact they use, like, garbage as shells. It's got a very cynical look. You clocked to maybe 50 hours since it came out on Wednesday. Oh. So you're, like, deep in the mines is what you're telling me. I'll have to check it out. But... So it's got like a few things going on. It's got a parry mechanic, but it's a very unique parry mechanic in that rather than pressing your parry at the time of the attack, it's you let go of the block button at the time of the attack. And that's like... it took a bit getting used to, but it's like an interesting way to switch up the formula. Having a shell that constantly breaks but has like special abilities tied to it is really unique. Like, it's got a bunch of super cool ideas inside of it. But it kind of suffers from the same issue that Liza P did, and that it was too easy. Granted, that could be like subjective. I died plenty of times through it, but like, once you unlock a few of the abilities through our Lord and Savior, the Sea Slug, the game like becomes noticeably easier. Especially when like you get like the ability to regenerate shell stamina, or if your shell breaks, it like reforms, and that's like fine. But I do think like the game probably could have been pushed to a harder difficulty later on. Was Persona 5 Royal this year? Yeah, well, it was at the tail end of last year, and it like crept forward into the beginning of this year. It was like the game we were playing when we did last year's stream. I double checked my VOD to see if I had like placed it. I did not. I believe I talked about it a little bit, saying that it would end up in all-timers, but we're doing it officially now. Yeah, this is a very competent Souls-like. The characters are fun. The final boss was pretty cool. Yeah, time. As I was putting this together, I'm like, there's no way it's been like a year since I played this game, but yes. Just good all around, man. It didn't take very long to beat. Yeah, it's like, it had a very cynical sense of humor. It was still funny, but it was very cynical. And I think that's like fine if you're very much on the side of, we need to stop killing our oceans with garbage, which I think is a good side to be on. I could see myself playing it again. I don't hold it on the same level as something like the actual FromSoft games or like Liza P, but it's quite good. Like, it's very competent. And if this is only like the team's second game, I would like to see more. There were like noticeable glitches and like polish issues with this game, like clipping through walls or inputs being dropped and things like that. Granted, it didn't. A lot of it had been patched apparently, according to Nick, but like there was still some stuff. Okay. But if you want to play another Crab's Treasure, it's available on Steam for $39, which I would say is worth the cost. This is a game that I would pay. I was not upset with the price that I paid for it. Next was One Shot. There we go. Which I have learned that I did not actually fully beat. It's more Wander vibey than other Souls I've played. Yeah, for sure. So One Shot, this game was so cute. The little cat girl that is carrying around the sun. They have to like navigate through a dying world. It was so good. It was just like a short, sweet little experience that apparently I have not finished. I thought I had, but apparently there's more. So I will probably come back to this one at some point just to like get the actual ending. But it's so good. It was just this very simple like game made an RPG Maker where you just like walk around, collect some things, do things in a specific order, do a little bit of puzzle solving, and that's about it. Yo, Zelda. Revisit? Well, yeah, I like this one by definition I am going to be revisiting because I haven't finished it yet. But the question is, where do I put it? I don't think it's better than Ori. But this game is awesome. It was so sweet. I was just like so protective of the little cat girl. The way that she like talked to you directly as a player was really interesting. It did some of that like indie developer messing with the fourth wall. You need to go into the file folders in order to do some things. I love it when games do that. I will never get tired of that because I think it's just like a fun gimmick to mess around with like things outside of the game itself. Void Stranger did that too. We'll talk about it. But One Shot, it was good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. You missed the fucking Rain World rant, Zelda. You don't know if they use pronouns Sunika at all during the game. You might be right about that. I might be gendering them. I just got the impression that they... I could be mistaken. I'm good skipping that one. Yeah. Alright. After that was Curse of Monkey Island. Because he started crying. So, old school point and click puzzle adventure game that unfortunately has a lot of the issues that like 90s era point and click game have, where what the fuck is this logic? There was some stuff that made sense. There's plenty of other stuff that just was fucking, what is this, man? Because like there were just, I had to look stuff up a couple times in this game to be like, what does this game want from me? And it's like, oh, you need nails, but not that nail that you already have in your inventory. You need a different set of nails in order to nail down this bed. Okay. Or, oh, you have to, there's this one jacket inside of the back of the auditorium, but you need to get the lint off of its shoulders, and you also need to get the thing out of its pocket. And it's up to the player, right? You need the turbo nails. It's just the writing in this game was funny, though very of the 90s. The voice acting was good. It was very silly, pretty lighthearted. I know why people talk about it a lot, because it was good. 65 streams. Thank you, Zelda. There's a lot of bullshit, though.
You're gonna love my nuts.
There's a lot of bullshit that existed inside of this game that a lot of the early, like the 90s, 80s era point-and-click adventure games had, because that was how they extended gameplay time. Unlike something like Grim Fandango, which I gave up on, I actually played Monkey Island all the way to the end. So I'm gonna say I would say it was worth playing, but like, there was too much of that point-and-click BS for me to put it any higher than that. Like, I understand why it's well regarded in the genre, but like, man, there was some stuff that makes you roll your eyes, you know? Hi, Ball! Happy anniversary! I enjoy you, but make sure to ignore this message. Well, I feel like I have mistaken the task at hand. Yeah, so that's where Monkey Island is. I think it was like super cheap though on Steam, so you know, that could be a reason to buy it. It was $9, which is not too bad, honestly. What did I play after Curse of Monkey Island? We played Transistor, which was a raffle redeem from Burungo. Transistor is a Supergiant's game, so you know, the same people who made Hades. And surprise, surprise, they made a good video game. The sound design was immaculate. The voice acting was really good.
You're
The,
gonna love my nuts.
the music was top notch. The gameplay was unique. A interesting blend between like real-time action mixed with turn-based. It's so sick. When does Hades 2 actually come out? I don't know. Like, I'm waiting for it to actually be released before playing it, even though like it is available to play right now. But like, I don't know. When it comes out, I will be playing it because I'm very excited to play more Hades. But yeah, it's Supergiant. Transistor was fantastic. It was only like 6 hours to beat it or something. It was like pretty short, sweet, but there's a lot of extra stuff to do. Incredibly customizable. Like the idea of like you have these sets of like these chips that are moves that can slot into either like a primary move, a secondary move, a defensive move, and then like the lore is tied to using them, so it incentivizes you to use them in different ways and customize them. It's so smart, man. It's so smart. It's such a smart way to incentivize your players not only to like mess around with the system that you developed, but also reward them for doing so. It's good. It's a good fucking game. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yo, what did I play after Transistor? VVV. It's a 8-bit 2D platformer where the only controls you have are to move left and right and reverse your gravity. And it made a bunch of interesting puzzle platforming challenges with those limitations. It only took a couple hours to beat, and it made me want to try and do as much as possible. I did not 100% it. I came close, and I could definitely see myself playing it again. I would put it about there. Very simple story. You're a little spaceman. Your crew got separated. You gotta go around and you gotta collect them. And they're all in different sections of the map with different mechanics, and it's good. Good game. Second Ori. This Ori is better than the first one, in my opinion. And you can... I know it's like a bit reductive to say it's because they took a lot of inspiration from Hollow Knight, but it's because they took a lot of inspiration from Hollow Knight. They took the relatively simple combat of the first game, and they fleshed it out way, way, way more. They added boss fights, they added branching paths, the movement system is just as good, but they built upon it. It was memorable, the story was great, it made me well up. I can't believe they did the little bird friend like that. Except for the Jinzo tree. Well, yeah, the Jinzo tree is just like such a high mark from the first game. Like, I don't think any of the chase sequences in Ori 2 reached quite that level, but I would say most of the other... But, I don't know, man. Ori 2 is so fucking good. The final fight against, like, the big bird guy, where it ends with you, like, having to navigate through, like, platforming and rebounding and... using air currents. It's just, it was so good. Fuck, Ori's so good, man. I would probably put it, like, right about there. I think it's, like, I think it's, like, a noticeable step up from the first game. It maintains, like, the incredible art style and presentation of the first one, but just, like, revamps pretty much everything else to just make it better. The combat's way more better, the world's is better to explore, the side content is way better, because you have like that central hub with a bunch of extra stuff going on inside of it. Game is so good. Game is so good. I don't think I like it more than Lone Fungus, because Lone Fungus, like, legitimately surprised me with how good it was. It looks better, actually, side by side. Well, I mean, like, it did come out later, so clearly they had time to, like, perfect their craft a bit more. But, I mean, like, that's not to say that Ori looks bad. Or the first Ori doesn't look good, right? It's just, like, give a development team that already made the first Ori a couple more years to make another Ori, and yeah, it's gonna look better. Which is saying a lot, right? We love Ori in this household, man. And the ending was, like... The ending was surprising. I wasn't expecting Ori... I guess I won't, like, say much more, because, like, it's on the spoilers, so I won't say it. It's time, baby. Elden Ring. Shadows of the Erdtree. So the DLC is going to be compared on its own. As a reminder, yeah. So the original, I believe I put Elden Ring as an all-timer last year. I put it as the second FromSoft game behind Sekiro. And I still think I believe that. However, Shadows of the Erdtree has a lot that I think is great. I think a good number of the bosses are really cool. I think that some of the ideas presented inside of it are really interesting. But there are a few things that really hold it back for me. One, I think the Skibidi Toilet seeds are... It's like a double-edged sword. In that they make it so that the balancing for the DLC works for everyone. Because it basically just, like, it doesn't matter what level you go into the DLC at. The seeds are what basically enable you to go through the DLC. The downside to them, though, is that they really hurt the replayability of this DLC. Because if you wanted to play it again, you basically are forced to scour the map again to grab a bunch of the seeds. If you want to, like, stand a fighting chance against the bosses. Which I do think is, like, a detriment for future playthroughs of Shadow of the Erdtree. The world still looks incredible. I had a lot of fun exploring it. Let me see. I'm going to pull up a list of the Shadow of the Erdtree bosses, because I want to talk about them. Now, there's such a mixed bag of these bosses. Like, I think if you were to take the bosses from base Elden Ring, talking about, like, the major ones in particular, not, like, jail bosses or random enemies that you find inside of, like, mini dungeons that are enemies in one place but bosses in some other places, excluding those, just like the main bosses. I would say the curve of bosses in the base game is, like, pretty flat, right? Like, I would say that the balancing of difficulty on them is pretty good. They're about as difficult as they should be for the expected area the expected level you're supposed to run into them at, right? The only exception being someone like Malenia, who was designed to be batshit insane difficult, right? Whereas the bosses in the DLC are fucking like this. Some of them are super easy, some of them are super difficult. It could be because you have enough seeds at some point. It could just because of the fucking design. I think a lot of it has to come from the design. So the first boss that you came across was the Dancing Lion, which is like the Chinese dragon type looking guy that can his movements are super erratic, and he can do a fuck ton of damage to you, and when he hits the second phase, he starts rotating between different elementals. I actually liked this boss like a decent bit. Forgive me, father. Hello, Eminem. Hello, Shy Guy. How we doing? Can we get a shout out for Proclaim Shy Guy? Hey, look at that. They were last playing Forgive Me, Father. I don't know what Forgive Me, Father is, but I will forgive you. The Dancing Dragon, I think, was a good boss. It had a unique design, it had a cool gimmick, and once you understand its attack patterns, it didn't take super long for you to figure out exactly what it was I was doing. I think it was a good introductory boss for the DLC. That's all you wanted? I'm happy to provide. Next was... Then there was Rolana, which I think is one of the top bosses for the DLC. She was hard, but like her attack patterns were consistent. She's not all over the fucking place, which is a big issue I think a lot of the bosses in the DLC suffer from. Her aesthetic was really cool. The twin swords with different elements on them. Music was obviously very good. Didn't she have an insta-kill attack, the big moon-ass thing? Yeah, but I didn't find it all that difficult to avoid. Like, it was telegraphed a lot, and like, avoiding it was as simple as just like hopping 3 times. Like, it didn't take long to figure out how to avoid it. She was difficult, but like, in a way that felt appropriate. So I didn't mind her. Commander Gaius sucked shit. He's the guy that was on the boar that just runs around all over the fucking place. And here's the first instance of multiple bosses in this DLC that suffer from this issue of they just run the fuck away all the time, and you have to chase after them, and then they run away again, and you do it. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. How many of these bosses do this in this fucking DLC, man? Just this. Yeah, I hate it. The fucking boar, just like way too mobile. It's the burst from fury. Yeah. I hate having to run after enemies. It's like, well, maybe it's supposed to encourage you to like use your horse more or to use range attacks, but like not every build has range attacks. Can't wait to play Lies of P. It looks amazing. It is amazing. You should absolutely play it. High praise. Yeah, Commander Gaius sucked. The Scadutree avatar, which was the sunflower, I think was better than Gaius, but also suffers from the I just can run away from you halfway across the map fucking issue, and then charge towards you super fucking quick, and but that one I am more forgiving of because it has less health. Putrescent Knight fucking sucked. Did the exact same thing where it just ran away the entire fucking time, and it had the move with the ghost fire that was impossible to dodge because it just like covered the entire map, and there was like not enough time to read or understand the best way to dodge those shit. Mesmir was probably my favorite boss in the DLC though. Mesmir was perfect. Or perfect's probably a strong word, but very, very, very good. Just human-sized character. They were mobile, but they managed to like always end their combos near you and give you enough time to actually hit them back which is a issue we'll get to with a certain fucking boss. But like the flow of that fight was good. And a lot of these bosses, I think I can say, suffer from bad flow. But the design of him was on point. The snake stuff was cool. The fire stuff was cool. Super sick transitional cutscene. Awesome. Romania was, you know, in a long line of hot lady on giant insects that FromSoft likes to do. She also suffers from the I'm gonna run away from you fucking issue. Romania, exactly. She's super mobile, but she at least like has a small enough arena that it's not too bad. But you do spend a lot of time running after her. And even though she like has Scarlet Rot and Poison, I believe, the fact that they only build up on specific attacks was fine. I didn't mind her. Bale, fucking hated Bale. Another boss that was just like way too fucking mobile, way too big. He had way too many fucking particle effects, so it made it impossible to see where the hell he was. Dude, Bale sucked, man. Like, I couldn't... When he hit the second phase, you just can't see shit. There's just fire and lightning, and the screen is just cluttered with so much fucking noise. And he moves way too quick, and you have barely any time to retaliate and hit him. Like, all these bosses have 5-hit combos, and you get, like, a 2-frame window to hit them back before they go into another one. You glitching in its crotch? Yeah, like, the camera refuses to work. The only way you can hit him is, like, getting underneath him, which the camera hates. Bale sucked. I did not like that fight at all. And I've seen people be like, he's, like, the best dragon fight. I'm like, yeah, but, like, the average dragon fight in FromSoft is, like, a 3. So, like, congratulations, Bale, you're, like, a 5. Midra was probably my second favorite boss fight in there. Frenzy, cool design. We're in advertisement, so we'll wait a little bit. Midra was cool. Long range weaponry. Interesting attack pattern. You're off. Tilting phase 1. Yeah, getting hit during the phase 1. Elden Ring is clearly dog water. No, it's not gonna be dog water. Even if I have my gripes with it, it's still like an incredibly well polished experience. But it's definitely, I'll just say it now. It's the first time I've played a DLC from a FromSoft game that I think is legitimately worse than the base game. Which is such a shame because I was super looking forward to it. And, like, I wouldn't say I was disappointed in any means, but there was a lot of frustration with this DLC. We'll get to the world design, which I think might be my biggest problem with it. I'm gonna grab more water while the timer is going. Man, video game bangers. It's just, you know what? It's not disappointing. It is living up to its title. Alright. Looks like we're back. Yeah. Midra has a tilting phase 1 where, like, if you get hit by the old man and just, like, randomly lose some health to his easily avoidable attacks, it can be tilting, but his second phase is just the moves are telegraphed enough that you're able to adjust to them, though they're still difficult. The frenzy being, like, a constant buildup, I think is a lot more interesting than, like, perpetual damaging stuff like Scarlet Rot or Poison. Yeah, Midra, good. Good boss. Meteor, Mother of Fingers. I have a fond memory for this one because this is where I learned how to do the Sekiro parry stuff, and as soon as I could parry this boss, they just died instantly. And it made me realize that I wish I had the parry more, but that's fine. Without the parry, this boss was, like, kind of annoying because it had, like, multiple attacks that had basically no wind-up that would just smack the shit out of you if you were close to the boss. Which is annoying. But that's, like, fine. It's their way of, like, getting the, like, DPS characters that are, like, right next to the boss to back off. Which I was. Crazy sexy boss. Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, Nick. Oh, they have Needle Knight Lita, which was, like, the brawl fight where if you had, like, done the side quest stuff with the NPCs, then you would have gotten, like, a bunch of people, like, fighting together. This was, like, such a nothing thing for me. And then there's some people who are like, this is so cool, because it incentivizes you to, like, do all the side content so that you get more for this boss. I'm like, it's just a bunch of NPC fights. Which I think are objectively just, like, the most boring fucking fights in these games. Because the AI is just, like, super abusable and not fun to fight against a lot of the time. And this is just, like, a bunch of them. Even though it's like, the story! I'm like, yeah, sure. And now for the final boss. Motherfucking Radahn. Fuck that fight. Fuck that fight. Why? Just let me hit him. This boss doesn't need to be gigantic, have a huge range, do a ton of damage, and also have no downtime between attacks. It's just the epitome of all the annoying fucking FromSoft game decisions. Like, the first phase is tough, which is fine. Like, once I had, like, the feel for the first phase down, I was able to get it through it fast enough. It was just the first phase, I would be okay with Radahn. His second phase is fucking garbage. And I'm, like, I know people are like, man, you imagine if you played it before the patch. It doesn't help, man. It's still endless particle effects, moves that hit you even if you dodge. Like, his moves that already had, like, barely any window to dodge have follow-ups to them. It's just an unblockable screen nuke, fucking instantaneous teleportation stuff, grab moves, just, oh my god. Garbage. Fucking garbage fight, man. I would say, of the main bosses from Shadows of the Erdtree, I would say about half of them are good, and half of them are bad. Half of them, like, of the half that are bad, Most of them suffer from being way too fucking mobile, not having enough time to retaliate between attacks, and just making you chase after them way too goddamn much. It's just not fun, man. It's just not fun. And then my second biggest gripe with Shadows of the Erdtree is the map. The map just does not fucking work, man. The fact that everything is, like, incredibly vertical makes it impossible for you to figure out where the fuck to go. It's just like, yeah, you need to get down into this crevice. And you're like, okay, if this was the regular fucking map, you just go to that spot on the map and you'll be able to find your way down. Nope. You go to a crevice and it goes down like 150 fucking feet and you can't do anything. You're like, nope, can't go here. The entrance to it is actually all the way fuck over here somewhere. And you're like, okay. And if it was like a once or twice thing, it'd be fine. But it's like all the fucking time. It was constant. They designed it for completionists. Yeah, but that's just that, like, I don't know, man. None of the other DLCs are like that. None of the other DLCs are completionist focused. They just build upon the game that already exists. Yeah, I don't, like I said, this DLC is the first time that I have played a FromSoft DLC where I would legitimately was like, this is worse than the base game. Which is such a shame. I can see myself replaying Elden Ring. I don't know if I would replay the DLC, man. I don't think I would play Shadows of the Erdtree again if I were to play Elden Ring again. And I would not say that about any of the other FromSoft games. Even though, like, I quit the DLC of Dark Souls 3 and never did the DLC of Dark Souls 2. But we're going to change that eventually. So unlike Elden Ring, which I put in as an all-timer, I'm probably going to put Shadows of the Erdtree as just, like, worth playing. Because it was just I would say I enjoyed half of my time with Shadows of the Erdtree. And the other half of the time I was just annoyed and frustrated. Which is a shame, because, like, a lot of the bosses that I had a problem with were all, like, backloaded at the end of it. So, like, I was really enjoying the first, like, 60% of the DLC. And then it was just, like, a string of just, like, annoying boss after annoying boss after annoying boss. That really tanked my enjoyment of it. So, yeah, that's Shadows of the Erdtree. I would tell you how much it cost. Oh, also it's like a $40 DLC. Now, I can't say that it wasn't worth the cost. This is like a full-ass game. Like, there's so much content here. Yeah, it's like a $50-some-odd DLC, and I think that's worth it. Like, they could have easily, instead of marketing this as a DLC, just been like, this is Elden Ring 2, and I don't think people would have batted an eye. Mesmer should have just been the final boss. I agree. I was surprised that he wasn't, to be honest. Because he definitely seemed like the guy, you know? Yeah, Radahn was just, like, way too overtuned. Alright. So that was Shadows of the Erdtree. Thank goodness you're here! Made by the Untitled Goose Game people. It's a silly little game where you play as a little chap walking around a small town, making pies and helping people through various situations, and you do it with a smile on your face because you got no thoughts in your little head. And then this game goes into weird, like, existential horror every once in a while for no reason. And it's very British. It's incredibly British. Oh, Frank's wife could learn a thing or two. Which is just, like, one of my favorite bits from that game. A lot of good bits. Everything costing Ted Bob was very funny. Just they never specify how much a bob is, but everything was 10 bob, which I'm a big fan of. Just very wild game. This goes like right next to Untitled Goose Game. I think I liked it a little more. Did I like it more? They're just the same. They are completely equal in my brain. I got the exact same level of enjoyment out of both of these games. Which is just silly little adventure with little guy doing some puzzle stuff and very tongue-in-cheek humor. Goose has to be more replayable. It's less cutscene-y. I don't know. They're like... The cutscenes are like what make Thank Goodness You're Here, though, like, fun, though. Like, the writing is the main reason to be playing Thank Goodness You're Here. Whew. It kind of like, it follows the same mentality for me as Untitled Goose Game, which is like, I would want to show this game to someone who has never played it before. Just been like, have you played Thank Goodness You're Here? Oh ho ho! Aren't you ready for a treat, you know? Anyway, if you haven't played it, it took like 2.5 hours to beat. It's super short, it's super sweet, and very cute. Well, cute. Axiom Verge. This was a super cool Metroidvania. Yeah, that's like basically where I'm at with Goose Game as well. Axiom Verge is a Metroidvania with a lot of hidden secrets, some really interesting ideas. This like dystopian cyberpunk narrative. Nothing quite looked like this game. It's like a Metroidvania with like gunplay, so it's like more on the Metroid side. It had some really unique ideas. Like very, very unique ideas. Traversing around it was cool. The upgrades felt different enough from your usual Metroid stuff that made it really stand out on its own. There was like a good amount of like wandering around trying to figure out what to do next, but that's fine. That's like kind of just par for the course with these games. There's a sequel. I own it. I know I'm gonna play it. I'm excited to play it. I would put this just below Ori. It's around that point for me. I really liked the stuff with like the lab coat, like phasing through walls, which recontextualized a lot of the design. The guns, there's like a bunch of unlockable guns in this game, and I would say like they give you way too many because there's like 4 or 5 of them that are good, and then like the rest of them are just kind of fluff filler. Like you can tell the developer's like, I have another idea for a gun. This one goes like pew 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 pew, and then they added it to the game, and you're like, why would I use the one that goes pew 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 when I have like this spread shotgun that does the same thing but better, you know? And so, unfortunately, because of that, it made like a lot of the unlockables, which are typically the best part about Metroidvanias, just not feel great to get. That would be probably one of my bigger gripes with the game. But in terms of like game design, puzzles, lore, all very good. Oh, excuse me. One Step from Eden was a raffle game that was submitted by Zeldy. It's a deck building roguelike that also combines the combat of the Mega Man Battle Network games to a very interesting effect. With a bunch of different characters, scaling difficulty like ascensions, unlockable skins. This game is like super duper replayable. It's designed to be, but like each character having like a unique style, like gameplay is really cool. The fact that you can like tell the game to prioritize certain types of cards in this game, it's magic spells or whatever, to fit the like gameplay style of that character is a cool quality of life thing. Having your life be a possible resource on top of like money that you can earn, it's just good. It's just well designed, very good. I don't put it on the same level as something like Slay the Spire or Balatro, because the combat itself takes away some of like the decision and puts more of like some skill-based control into it as well. But I will definitely be playing this game again at some point. Yeah, you're in a grid. It's like a 4x4 grid or 4x3 grid or something. And each spell has like an area that it hits and it can do damage, and you have there's so much going on in this game. It is very, very replayable. Was a fan. Lisa the Painful. So Lisa the Painful, I think, is a great game. I made the mistake of choosing to play on Merciless mode because the game told me that it would, if you playing on Merciless mode would give you unique things. And it got to the point where I was in the last section of the game, and apparently I was like fairly close to the end of the game. But most of my party members had died. I think I had used up pretty much every possible save point. And I had no arms. So I was just like in a fucking hole. And on the third day of streaming the game, I made it about an hour into stream, had successfully done a lot of stuff, was feeling pretty good, managed to be like a boss even, after recruiting the last couple of members that were still available to be recruited. And then I accidentally jumped off an edge. Because this game, it happened a few times where you need to press up and then press the jump button. But my brain is always just like, press up, press A, and then you'll jump up, right? But you need to hold down the up button. But I was just like too quick on letting go, and then I would press the move like left or right, and I would just hop off the edge. And losing an hour of progress to just like a missed button input was too much for me to want to continue playing. I want to get back to this game. I might just start an entirely new playthrough and not play on Merciless mode, but it'll probably be a bit before I do that. In terms of like story, gameplay, all that other stuff, really interesting. The unique thing that it gives you is deadly pain. Yeah, I want to go back. I want to come back and play this one again because I am super intrigued to see the end of this story. Because I don't feel satisfied with where I left it off. It's like, I want to know what happened to Buddy. I want to know what happened with this, like, supposed community of people that have children. Like, what's the... There's things I want to know. I want to get back to it, but I'm going to need to take a break because I'm going to have to start over from the beginning. Granted, I can make different choices, and that'll be interesting, but at the same time, like, I need to give myself a breather. I don't know if I want to rank this one just yet. Because depending on if this game ends in like a poignant way, I could see myself putting in an all-timer. For the time being, I'm just gonna put it in revisit. Right next to One Shot. But this is purely because I haven't finished it yet. I do think this game has a very, very strong chance of ending up an all-timer because what it was doing, I really enjoyed. Void Stranger. The most recent long series that we played on here. Huh. I missed Bramble. When did I play Bramble? After Balatro. Okay, well... let me quickly talk about Bramble then. Bramble was a short, like 4-hour-long experience where you play as a... I believe a boy looking for his sister, who was kidnapped by the Mountain King. Cop Void Stranger suit? You should. It had like some Brothers Grimm fairy tale vibes to it. The aesthetic of it was super cool. It had like some mild puzzle elements to it. It had some darker themes. There was a really cool boss fight sequence in this game where you were like having to row across a lake that was like being shone upon by like a lighthouse that was rotating, and the only source of light was from the lighthouse. So when the light would turn away from you, it would go pitch black. But when the light would come back, there would be like this witch that was like hunched over top of you inside of the boat, and then she would drag you into like this nightmare realm, and then you'd be fighting like a giant version of her, and it would just be like her face against pitch blackness. Such a cool sequence. Like easily the high point of the game. The end fight was super cool too, because you were fighting like the Mountain King himself, and it played that iconic song. Very, very cool little experience. Didn't take particularly long. Was pretty dark in like a twisted sense, which is something that I enjoy. Unfortunately, this is a game that I don't see myself ever playing again. But it has like a lot of really, really cool sequences inside of it. Like absolutely worth a play, but it's not particularly replayable. And that one, if you wanted to pick it up, is $39, which I would say is definitely high. I would say pick that one up on sale if you could. Yeah, Void Stranger. This was, like I said, the most recent long series that we played. It was like 10 streams of Void Stranger. This was a game that just like, it just kept going. It was so cool. I really, really enjoyed this game. The way it told its story was really unique. The puzzles were layered and interesting. Every time you thought you understood it, there was always like another layer deeper that you could go into it. Gusty Gardens, hell yeah. Yeah, this was a profoundly enjoyable puzzle game. It messed around with like there was basically every time it decided to like take a leap with some of its puzzles, I think it landed, except for one, which I'm not gonna like. I'm gonna spoil it because there aren't spoilers. The fucking snake puzzle is garbage bullshit. There's too many user errors that can come from it that make it an unreliable puzzle, and it really felt like the developers were like, "Yeah, fuck it, put it in there because it's a cool idea and we want to do it." And it just felt janky and bad. That's my biggest gripe with this game. Everything else is fantastic. The sprite work is super good. The music was catchy, which is good because you're going to be hearing it a lot. Spent 4 hours and look it up. I spent like 3 hours, got about, I would say 90% of the way through the puzzle, and then I also looked up the answer. It was... And when I knew the answer, it was one of those situations where it was like, I don't feel good about knowing the answer. It doesn't feel good. It was like the big black spot in an otherwise very, very good experience. different characters that had different context to the game. Snakes are bad, got it. Snakes are bad. Just talk to the Irish. But other than that, I think Void Stranger was fantastic. Wonderful game. I'm putting it right there. I much like Outer Wilds and Obra Dinn, I know the solutions, so I can't really replay the game again. But it's one of those ones that, like, it transcends that kind of stuff, right? Where it's just like, this game is so good and left such an impression on me that I'm going to be thinking about it for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. I'm going to be recommending it to people who like puzzle games. I'm probably going to watch people play the game if it's their first time playing it. The thing is, it's still relatively, like, not... It's, like, still relatively small of a game. I expect this to be one that, like, has, like, a, like, niche cult following that are just like, yeah, Void Stranger, you know? Yeah. Highly, highly recommend this one. Puzzle games are hard to make long. This one was long. It just kept going. Every time I thought I was getting close to the end, it was like, nope, there's still more to do. The thing is, like, I got to the ending of it, but there's still more stuff I could be doing. I feel fine with, like, leaving it where I did, because I'm sure, like, the stuff that I could do is just, like, slightly different story stuff, rather than, like, big content. But that's kind of where I'm at. Void Stranger was so good. Glad that I played that one. On Guard. On Guard is a Spanish Matador Souls-like, Sekiro-like. You play as Matador. You're a fencer. You do a lot of parrying, and you do dodging. Like, this game has some very cool ideas. I think it definitely could use more polish, though. I love Sekiro. I love parrying. This game wants to do, like, have it both ways, where you have, like, a dodge and a parry and an attack. And that's, like, your primary thing to do. And it also is kind of doing the thing that, like, Assassin's Creed, Batman, like the Batman Arkham series does, where it's like you're fighting large groups of enemies at the same time. But unlike Batman or Assassin's Creed, where, like, the enemies kind of stagger their attacks in a way for you to be able to deal with it, the enemies in this game are just fucking relentless, and they do not give a shit if other enemies are attacking. Like, they will just attack all at the same time. So you just have to be on the move all the time. But that's fine, because they have, like, a cool system of, like, using the environment to, like, trip up the enemies, break them apart from each other, damage enemies, stagger them. Like, it's a very in-depth combat system. But I do think that, like, the swordplay in particular is a bit too punishing. And that, like, it's trying to be like a rhythm game, where it's giving you, like, visual cues on what you're supposed to do. You either need to parry or you need to dodge, depending on, like, what the enemy is telegraphing. However, the window between visual cue and attack is so small that it can be, at times, feel impossible to actually react fast enough. Especially when they introduce enemies that have a wide variety of different attack patterns. It's fine when there's, like, the base mooks that all have, like, the same attacks and you get used to them. But when you get to, like, certain bosses or harder enemies that have switch-ups on their attack pattern, and if you press the wrong button, you get punished instantly. It's just like, it feels like you just do not have enough time. Like, even in Sekiro, when you have, like, their main form of way to interact in the combat is to parry, and then they throw the switch-ups in every once in a while with, like, your Makiri counters, or your, like, big sweeping attacks that you need to dodge out of the way of, or the grabs. But those are usually telegraphed enough for you to be able to react. Whereas in this game, there's like pretty much an equal back and forth between like dodges and parries. And it felt like to me that you basically needed to preemptively guess which one they were going to do if you wanted to have enough time to react. And even by the time I got to the end of it, it still felt like I just was kind of floundering a lot. And I thought it was because I was playing on the hard difficulty, right? That like, oh, the timing windows are so strict because I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. But even when I switched down from hard to medium difficulty, the timing windows didn't change at all. The only thing that changed was like how many health pips you had. And that's not the issue that I was having. It wasn't like, oh, I'm dying too quickly and that's why I'm losing. It's that I can't react fast enough to these enemies' attacks. And also, this particular enemy has a mechanic where if you fuck up, they regain all their poison. You have to start over from scratch. And it's just like, that mechanic in particular just means that like it's not a matter of like your health, it's the timing window.
I've got balls of steel.
So I think this game has a lot of cool ideas. I think its combat system is like very deep and has a lot of ideas that are cool. Its storytelling style was like very like Saturday morning cartoon kind of feeling, where no one was like particularly taking things super serious or whatever, and that's like fine. It all depends. Ooh, we got No More Heroes music, by the way. But yeah, this game was very much a mixed bag for me. I think it's worth playing because I do think the combat system has a lot of cool things going on, but it definitely felt a bit too punishing for what it was trying to be. And like, I know like it's been compared to like FromSoft and Dark Souls, but like those games are punishing, but from like a way that still felt fair. This felt just kind of like hope and pray. Slay the Princess. Yo, this game was so cool. It's a choice-based adventure, like Ren'Py text adventure game where there's like a narrator telling you that you have to kill the princess, but you can like interact with the narrator, and there's like a mild time loop mechanic inside of it, and the titular princess themselves, their personality and appearance change depending on your choices, and it's revealed that like there's this otherworldly god entity that's like trying to learn what they are by you collecting different versions of the princess and bringing them to her by developing that princess's personality. And it's so unique and so cool. And even though I got to like the end of it, I can guarantee like way more stuff in this game that even I saw, and that's super cool. The writing was interesting. It got like very existential by the end, to the point where I was just like, I need to look up a primer to exactly understand the totality of the experience that I had. But it was a very unique experience. A perfect like Halloween type game, because it's got like mildly spooky vibes going on with it, especially in some of the routes where things get like pretty gory and dark. And this game was like surprisingly violent. yeah, this is like absolutely. I'm gonna revisit this game in my own time, just because I want to see like more of what it has to offer. It kind of like occupies the same spot as like Lisa, this like dark, unique game with like doing some experimental things with like a relatively simple game development software. It's cool. And lastly, the game that we are currently playing, but I felt like we've seen enough of it that I felt good enough with ranking this one. It's Animal Well, which this is a really unique Metroidvania. There's no combat inside of it whatsoever. It's purely exploration and puzzles. And it's another one of those like layered puzzle type games. I've already seen the actual ending of the game, but it just keeps going and going and going. I don't know how much more of the game there is to do. Probably a lot. Puzzles on top of puzzles on top of puzzles, which I'm a sucker for. I love that kind of shit. And very, very similar to Void Stranger, actually, in that regard. It's a puzzle cake. It's a puzzle onion. It's a puzzle parfait. Puzzle lasagne. It's got cute animals. It's got a cute aesthetic. The main character is just a little lump with legs. It's got fun platforming. It's got interesting mechanics. It makes me want to just like rifle through it and like try and find as much as I can. This one, I believe, is going to be an all-timer. I can already kind of tell. It's so good. It's so good. I'm probably going to have to do like multiple playthroughs of this one, I think. Just because there is like literally a thing inside the game that's asking you to do more than one playthrough. At least from my understanding of it. So yeah. I believe that's the list. So in all-timers, we got Baldur's Gate at the top, and I feel like that's not really a controversial opinion to have. We did it! Baldur's Gate, Balatro, Persona 5, Crosscode, / its DLC, Liza P, Void Stranger, Transistor, Super Mario 64, Bug Fables, Animal Well, Lone Fungus, and Ori, all in all-timers. In Yakuza tier, we have Yakuza, and in Stars in Time, because I like this game more than we'll revisit, but I don't think it's an all-timer. And then Yakuza's Yakuza. In We'll Revisit, we got Eden. No Goose on all-timers. It's not. One Step from Eden, Another Crab's Treasure, Ori 1, Axiom Verge, Slay the Princess, Lisa, One Shot, Pseudo Regalia, Pizza Tower, Ghost of Tsushima, Lethal Company, VVV, Mega Man 1, Mega Man 2, Thank Goodness You're Here, Untitled Goose Game, and Metal Hellsinger. Why won't he vanish work? It did work. You did vanish. Worth playing Shadow of the Erdtree, Bramble, Moncage, Toem, Gravity Bone, Behind the Frame, Gorogoa, Don't Please Touch the Artwork 2, On Guard, Monkey Island, Haiku. In Meh tier, we got Exit 8, How to Fool Boyfriends, Rhythm Sprout, and Metopia. And in Dog Water tier, we've got Rain World, Bug Snacks, Jump King, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and Shin Megami Tensei 4, bringing in the disrespectful tier. I will not be taking any questions because I have already answered them all while ranking them. Hooray, hooray, hooray. That's year 2, baby. Do this. Anything else? I'm here for you. Hydrate. Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Hell yeah. Did you ever follow the God puzzle? I'm not done with God Animal Well yet. I'm still in the process of playing Animal Well. So, give me a little time, Nebby. Here's the 2. Looking forward to 3. Whatever this next year's got in store. I can't wait to see. Hell yeah, everyone. There's only 20 minutes left of the stream. I feel like there's not much point in
You're gonna love
continuing.
my nuts.
So we're gonna call it there. You play so many games. Well, I mean, I stream all year round, man. I don't know what to tell you. That was 51 games in the last year. And to be fair, a good number of the... We had a couple really long ones between Baldur's Gate and Persona. Those ones being like... And Ghost of Tsushima was pretty long, too. And Shadow of the Erdtree. But then we also had a bunch of, like, shorter games. More Balatro content. Why can't you type? You can type. I know what you meant. Yeah, like, you don't have to worry. There will be Balatro interspersed every once in a while. Because I can't help myself. That game is perfect. Alright. I'm sending you guys over to Bungo, probably. Hell yeah. He's played Kirby in the Forgotten Land. A wonderful little game. Probably the best Kirby game. If in all seriousness, like, there's Superstar, but like, I don't know, this game is fantastic. Thanks for hanging out, everyone, and listening to me talk about my gaming opinions. We'll get together again and do it next year. Alright, peace out, take care, bye-bye.